Good and fair evening, my friends. Welcome back to the tavern. I hope you are all having a spectacular final week of January. We are in for one heck of a night. Oh, let's see. Let's get Matty his toot on the raid horn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Matty, for raiding in over on the Twitch portal. Welcome in, everyone. If you are new, so we have some new folks, so I'm going to greet everybody real quick. Let's see. Matty came in. We have Frost. We have Esther. We have the old King Bear. And Bear says he was getting concerned about an appearance today. I honestly, I just lost track. I was ready to go at like 6:45, and I got talking to the lady about something, and time always goes so fast when we're talking about work things. But Teresa is in, Quote is in. Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ace, hello. Yeah, we are in the final week. Cassie, hello. Cassie's in over on the Facebook portal. We also have David James Crowder, who says that he just recently found the tavern. Well, welcome in, my friend. We're very glad to have you. And then we also have Casper Crystal. Thank you kindly for the stars. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated. And then we also have our friend Mortifer over on the Facebook portal. Welcome, welcome, my friends. So very glad you could be with us this fine evening. Kinky Baby Pickle is a wild username, but welcome to the tavern. Grab a seat and settle in. For those of you who are new, who have never seen my face before, I am Castle, this is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore, and every now and again I read you all a story. You have stumbled through a portal at the end of all worlds where the tavern, where all stories eventually come to rest. Milo raiding in. Hello, Ryan. Welcome in. Good to see you. Always happy to see you as well, my friend. Always happy. Grab a seat and settle in. Joker, hello. Welcome in, brother. Good to see you. Let's get, and for anyone who is wondering if it seems like I'm just talking to myself like a lunatic, we have multiple portals opened into the tavern. So if you would like to join through a preferred platform, you can join us through TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or Kick, whichever is your preferred viewing experience. Oh, friend of the All-Father Gaming. Very, very good. Not much, Joker. What's going on with you, my friend? Let's get Milo a toot on the raid horn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Me. Wait, is it? Oh, Mel. I see what you say. I see. I am technically talking to myself. Isn't it the ludicrous nature of what we do? 3-stream streak, Frost. You got cheated out of one, huh? Thank you, Frost. I appreciate you. I'll get Nilu there as well. If you didn't already, it doesn't really matter. Not much. All settled for story time then, Joker? At the end of your day? Oh, wrong login, BRB. That's alright. I can't be on here much right now since I'm tied up with calls around the clock. My other cat is seriously unwell, and I'm doing my best to take care of them both. Just wanted to drop in for a quick comment before it gets lost in the mix. Well, I'm very glad you did drop in, Esther. Go take care of your kitty cat, and I will do my best to keep you entertained and relaxed in the background. Now, for any of you who've never been in before, the way that we do stories is 25 stream streak. Look at that. I've been cheated out of several, but you know I'm here even if I'm not. I do. It's more like it's like a 40 stream streak at this point. Vikash, hello and welcome in. Kylie, hello, welcome in. I believe this is Kylie. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Welcome in. So very glad that you could join us. Again, I am Castle and this is my tavern, and we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. And If you've never been here, Tonks, hello, good to see you. Jared, hello, good to see you. This is the earliest I've ever been. Yeah, you're right in at the beginning. I'm still greeting everyone and saying hello. Look at that. Basically, what we do is we read a chapter or two from a book. We'll talk about it. We'll sometimes waffle a bit about various different topics, and at the end, sometimes we sing some songs. So, if you are coming in from any of the story times that the lady and I do, we're very glad to have you in. And if you're coming in by recommendation, we're also very glad to have you. Normally I jump in when you're in the middle of the chapter. You're here before I've even started reading. Does Una ever peek into the camera during your time for some extra stream chaos? Not often. Not often. Tonks is over on the TikTok portal at the moment. Bear? Tonks, the bear is sending you his greetings and he hopes that you are doing well. Frost, 1 year, 7 months, 5 days, 8 hours. Brilliant. Stephanie, hello, good to see you, welcome in. You don't do TikTok, that is true. That's quite alright. I've got you on Twitch and Facebook and the YouTube portal. You are all good, my friend. TikTok is a bit temperamental. Just on Twitch, so it's not counting TikTok, which is fair enough. Thank you for the drink, Ross. Appreciate you. The old King Bear. It took you a while to migrate over to Twitch. I'm actually surprised that it's over a year, which is incredible. I've got a work meeting in 30, so I'll hang out until then. Spectacular. I will get you. We'll just get started. We'll run ads real quick, and we'll get right into it. I want to get as far in this as we can because we're trying to get all settled up at around the same time for both books, so that we can move on to the readathon here soon. I started a new series based on a video game. They are more like comics, though. Interesting. What are you working on, Jared? Oh, there she is. Tonks is over on the YouTube portal now. I just like Twitch because it usually seems to have the least amount. That's true. The tech with which whatever Twitch does for their latency, it works so much better than any of the other platforms do. Milo at 1 year, 8 months, 13 days, and 2 hours. Donny Pipsqueak, hello and good evening, my friend. Welcome in. Wait, 1 year, 8 months? I really lost it. Time flies when you're having fun. The series is Life is Strange. I absolutely love the game, and there's a new one coming up. Yeah, I do recall. A lot of people really enjoyed it. I didn't play it. I don't remember why I didn't play it, but a lot of people really enjoyed it. Apparently it had some very good ways of telling its story. Also, I have up to chapter 5 edited in book 1, so I'm flying. I was going to say burning through those books, but you don't want to do those. Hopefully there's not a Twitch jail. There is not a Twitch jail, Esther. You don't ever have to worry about going into Twitch jail. Well, you can go into Twitch jail, but I can take you out. You can be timed out if you get aggressive or anything like that. He said, I like Twitch comments move so fast I can't keep up. That's true. That's true. The Twitch patrons are a chatty bunch. They love to really get into the conversation. The new one's coming out in 2 months. That's so why now I pick up the books. Oh, I see. Interesting. It's not often that you get books that go along with video games. So I would wonder if there are any ghouls. There are those of us that just watch and keep characters. It's true. We got a few barkeeps that are only chatting at very particular times. Berkey, hello, good to see you, my friend. When you were talking about your faith a couple of weeks ago, you told it with such passion you gave me goosebumps. I don't know precisely what. When I get into a role, I'm impossible to stop. I have no off switch, Matty. I don't even think you have an on switch. I just think you're permanently on. I'm not 100% sure if they are full on following the games, but it's worth a read. All right, well, there you go. See, it's like the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, which was meant to be like a horror series, and then it kind of became like a pseudo children's series, and then there are a bunch of books and lore around that. I don't think that they're particularly well written or anything, but they are interesting. It is interesting when you get these sort of cross universe tie-ins between mediums, right? We have videos and movies and games and books that all sort of like interweave with one another. It's difficult to do well, but when it is done well, it's beautiful and fascinating. Those with the swords can use them for those that misbehave. That's true. So that's really the only way. Facebook already handcuffed me on probation. Thank the Lord, I've not been handcuffed on Facebook in some time. I used to get in trouble on Facebook all the time when I was a little bit more of a twat with how I dealt with people, but fortunately I have matured, and I don't pick fights with strangers anymore. Now, that doesn't mean strangers don't pick fights with me. I just don't go out of my way to pick fights with strangers. I get people that try to fight with me all the time. I just don't entertain it anymore. Well, I wasn't presuming that you did, but Facebook clearly had a problem with something. But they'll get you in trouble for all sorts of things. Permanently on, everyone in my channel says that. Never been handcuffed on Facebook. Which, Matty, you typed that with a frowny face. Matty hates to be not be handcuffed in any location. All right, friends, we're going to quickly run some ads over on the Twitch portal, and then once that is done, it's going to take 3 minutes, then we'll get a whole hour without them. Twitch makes us do it. There's nothing I can do about it, but it will give us a full hour uninterrupted where we can chat and read through. We are on chapter 24 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, The Wand Maker. Harry and Hermione and Ron just rescued Luna and the Wand Maker, whose name is Ollivander. Ollivander from the basement of the Malfoy's Manor, getting away by the skin of their teeth. And when we ended off, Dobby was laying mostly dead, with a blade sticking out of his chest, thrown by none other than Bellatrix Lestrange. Casper says, I'm new here, how is everyone? We are wonderful, Casper, we're very glad that you could join us. This is Storytime. Now, technically everything I do here in the tavern is Storytime, but this is a Storytime where you all can come and we can talk about the stories, rather than me just talking at you. This is one of the more magical ways that we get to tell stories, because you all get to be involved in the process, and we can talk about what is great and what is good and what is terrible and what could be better. So we take this opportunity to read through stories that we love. You all vote on these stories. I do not pick them. Every story that has ever been read in the tavern was picked by all of you. So, we are on chapter 24 of the 7th book of the Harry Potter series. Urur, God of Snow, thank you for the heart me over on TikTok. Tips to the Tavern Keeper, always appreciated. Thank you kindly, my friend. Country Boy Gamer 89, welcome in. So very glad that you could join us. Grab a seat, settle in. We're about to start. And again, everyone, I'm going to run ads here in just a second over on the Twitch portal. So you're not going to see me for about 3 minutes, but then that'll give us a whole hour without them. And again, I wish I could turn them off, but Twitch does not allow me to. So, give us just a moment. We're going to run ads and we will be right back. But yes, when we last left off, Harry, Ron, and Hermione had just escaped, again by the skin of their teeth, at the charity and bravery of Dobby the house elf. And sadly, it seems at the end of the last chapter, Dobby has died. So we're going to see what happens now. We ended off on a major cliffhanger. Dobby says, Harry Potter, and then, with a little shudder, the elf became quite still, and his eyes were nothing more than great glassy orbs, sprinkled with the light from the stars they could not see. Absolutely tragic. Wow, all my people are alive tonight. Well, we will be on for a few hours, Kayla, if you want to go and show some love elsewhere. It's absolutely acceptable. I won't have my feelings hurt if you want to come back a little bit later after you go and say hello to some of your other preferred viewing places. And I'm very glad to see you. I'm glad that you dropped in. I hope you're feeling better, at least a little bit. I hope you're giving yourself time for respite. How do you feel about the writing style versus Tolkien? Does it feel more like a layperson versus a PhD? I wouldn't necessarily say that, because Tolkien, if you read Tolkien's early writings, Tolkien did start out as a good writer, in spite of the fact that he was an avid studier and lover of literature and of stories and of storytelling and of language. His early writings were not terribly complex and coherent. He spent a lot of time working with other writers, including C.S. Lewis, to get good. Now, I like the story of Harry Potter. I like the overall world. I think it's a very interesting sort of low fantasy world that was built. I think many of the characters are very fascinating and compelling. I think some of the aspects of the world building are incoherent, but that will always happen when you build it as you go, which is what she did. She didn't put a whole lot of thought into the broadness that she was going to build into the world, so a lot of the things end up being incoherent and sort of self-defeating. So, I'm going to come back to your question here in a second, Berkey. Gunnar, hello, my friend. Hello, good to see you. Castle, I may be contacting you for a bit of help on a story book I'm working on. Absolutely, Frost. Anytime. When the bear cubs were tiny, they misunderstood Dobby and called him Dobby the mouse elf. That's very funny. That's very funny, Bear. Oh, David Crowder, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. You have marked the tower on your map. You should be able to find your way back next time you seek a story. Now, Horse, hello, my friend. Good to see you. Welcome in. Horse, I saw that you messaged me. I am way behind on comments and messages. I will get to it. If any of you have left a comment or a message, I currently have, I think, 82 unread messages. Thank you, Frost. I appreciate you, brother. I currently have 82 unread messages, maybe more, that I have to get to. And I've got just shy of like 400 or 500 comments from the last 3 days that I have to get to. So I apologize for being so far behind. I'm working on catching up. I was surprised at the finds. Well, I'll be interested to read what you have to say. I love the relationship between C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. Oh, so do I. Oh, Beauty and Blasphemy, I didn't see you. Hello, welcome in. I wish I could stay for story time, but it's just a short drop tonight. I love visiting the tavern, and we love to have you. I'm very glad that you dropped in. I'm so your messages sort of blended in with everything, and I couldn't see them. So I'm glad I saw them. If you're still in, I'm glad that you dropped in. Castle, the other day you mentioned opening a story in your TikTok. I was curious about what is an absolutely wrong way to start a story, and just how much of a hook should the first line have? Let me finish Berkey's question, and then I'll come to you, Gunnar. The fundamental difference between uh, Tolkien and Rowling, as far as writing goes, is craft. Rowling is not a very good writer. She's not very good at structuring scenes. She's not very good at structuring interactions. A lot of her dialogue is sort of clumsy, so it doesn't feel very natural and free flowing. Uh, don't get me wrong, it's done well enough that there's whimsy to it. Pat Hooper, hello and welcome in. Thank you for the follow. You've marked the tavern on your map. Should be able to find your way back the next time you seek a story. Grab a seat, settle in. We're getting ready to start story time. I'm just answering a few questions before we get into it. Taz, how's it going? Good evening, welcome in. So very glad that you could drop in with us. But yeah, Rowling she's not very good with her character interaction, she's not very good with her plot. The way that you put it, like reading the words of a layman versus the words of a scholar, I think is close, but I don't necessarily think that Tolkien's education is what gave him the edge. I think it was his love for his world and the deliberate way in which he wrote it. I think there was a lot more deliberacy and love put into Lord of the Rings than there was put into Harry Potter. The world of Harry Potter is not terribly well thought out. It's interesting and it's fascinating and it's whimsical, but it's not terribly well thought out. And that comes across in a lot of ways, like with characters that get introduced that basically there's no need for them. Like in this book and the last book, you have Scrimgeour, who is the Minister of Magic at the Ministry for like all of 3 seconds before he dies. The function that he holds in the story is virtually nothing. There's virtually nothing that he does that makes the story any better or worse. Megovin, hey Mushu, how's it going, my friend? Winme, hello and welcome in. So very glad that you could join us. My first name is Irish descendant, and my last name is from Ireland, which my name is Darren Hines. Oh, interesting. I do not find her a good writer, nor do I like her, but I love the world she created, like Lovecraft. Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably feel that way. I don't really get into the social aspects of these things. I very much, I didn't like I never read this book. I never read the 7th book because I just didn't enjoy the way that Rowling wrote. A lot of times it feels like she's torturing the characters just sake for torturing them, and it doesn't do anything to progress the plot. It doesn't do anything to progress the character storytelling. It's just suffering in place of character development. I don't like that. But the world is whimsical enough and interesting enough that it is worth reading. Plain Jane, thank you for the follow over. Well, we're getting a lot of new folk into the tavern tonight. Thank you for following. You've marked us on your map. You should be able to find your way back the next time you sing a story. Again, for all of the folk who are new, there are multiple ways that you can enter into the tavern. For your preferred viewing experience, we have doors open on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Kick, and TikTok, whatever is your preferred. Good night, good luck, Reed. Good luck and read well. Thank you kindly, Auror. I will see you the next time that you drop in. I appreciate you, and thank you kindly for the heart me, my friend. I think my message got lost earlier, but hello, Tyson. It's good to see you. We're just talking about storytelling in general. Mortimer says, how is everyone doing? And Bushu, we're just talking about storytelling in general, just answering a few questions. But I think that, again, the fundamental difference between Tolkien and Rowling is craft and passion. I think Tolkien is just a far more deliberate and seasoned writer than Rowling is and was. And I think that he put a lot more thought and love and deliberacy, I keep using that word, but deliberacy, into the way that he wrote Lord of the Rings. I think that was a big part of it. Matty, you are practically a helicopter parent for your world. Yeah, it's not even close, and it's not even really fair to compare them, because Tolkien, Rowling spent a couple of years developing the Harry Potter world. Tolkien spent 30 years. And it wasn't 30 passive years. He spent 30 years vehemently building out the languages and histories of this world that he loved so much. To him, this world was like his family. It was one of his children. And it was something that he loved deeply and dearly. Partially because it was a part of the memories of his wife and his love for her. So, oh, Pat, I missed you all of the messages. I wrote some poems on there on my account to add more. Very good. Keep it up. What I found was my last name means descendants of Eowyn. Eowyn. The name doesn't trigger anything right off the top of my head, but I can look in my books, Hoss, and see what I have. Do you think you could take a look at my book? It's not finished, but I put some screenshots on my Facebook page. Mortimer, if you want to join over in the guild and send it to me in a message, then yes. I don't have a lot of free time to do these things, but when folk are a part of the community and they want to send me something to look at, I look at it when I have time. So if you want to join the guild and send it to me in a message, then yes, I will give your book a look when I have a little bit of free time to do so. Because my wife and I, Una, we do these things professionally. We do book editing as well as we do advising on things like on writing and storytelling and how to do those things. And we do those as part of the work that we do, so we do get paid for it. But we also, for up-and-coming writers and creators and things like that, when we have free time, we do offer those services for, whatever extra time we have for free. We just don't have a whole lot of free time to do it. Here, I will... give me just a second. Oh, the water dog? Did you, Hoss? The Dovar Coup? It's one of my favorites as well. For anyone who would like to join the guild, I'm going to pop the link in here. Uncle Scooby, hello, my friend. Good evening, Castle. Hoping you and the lady are doing very well this chilly evening. It is a warm evening for us, but we are doing well. It was funny, I laughed, so I'm glad you enjoyed it, my friend. People won't stop touching all of these dangerous creatures. Everybody wants to just pet all of the furry things, but again, I said it once, I'll say it a million times. Just because it is friend-shaped does not mean it is a friend. I would absolutely, again, I would toss endless numbers of things into a volcano to get the weather that you have. Now, Gunnar, you said you had asked the question, is there a bad way to start off this story? Is the Will-o'-the-Wisps as dangerous as they say? They can be. It depends on where you are and what story you're talking about. But wisps tend to be about as dangerous as you let them be. With most things that have to deal with old folklore and old folk dangers, I should say. Old folk dangers are only as dangerous as we are ignorant of them. Quit petting things just because they're... Exactly, that is my primary message through the tavern for all of you adventurers. Stop petting things that are friend-shaped. They're not friends. I had somebody argue with me that they could tame a polar bear, and I nearly lost my mind. Molly, hello. I've had a good life, goes and pets a Kelpie. And stay away from the water for God's sake. Stay away from the water for God's sakes. Don't go near the lochs. Don't swim in a loch. Don't spend your time near the cliffs. Don't go off near the water. Off to the deep you go. But Gunnar, there is no bad way to start a story, but you have to start a story that is appropriate, in the appropriate way for the story you're trying to tell. And I know that seems like non-advice, but you have to think about it from the viewer's perspective, right? You have to think about it from who is going to be reading it. Now, is it interesting to start your story in the middle of your protagonist's day, 6 months before the inciting event? Oh, Kevin gets up and he gets coffee, and then he goes out and he waters his lawn, and then he gets ready for work. And then while he's at work, Martha from 2 booths over, she accidentally spilled her coffee on his shirt, spent the rest of his day smelling of coffee. It's dreadfully boring. Unless your goal is to bore people to death. That's not a good way to start a story. I love this tavern. You and me both, Hoss. You and me both. Considering they are generally considered to be the most aggressive among bears, unlikely. Yeah, like, even a baby polar bear would try to send you through a wreck. We have an adorable creature here in Australia. Not all of them can kill you, but I assure you all of them want to. Right. I feel like a polar bear could be tamed, but it costs a good amount to do so. Polar bears are one of 5 creatures on the planet that hunt human beings for fun. Polar bears go out of the... If a polar bear sees a human being, it's instantly blood sport. Stop petting things you don't personally know. Exactly. Darth Nexus, my friend. Hello, good to see you. Welcome in. I want there to be a significant hook in the beginning of the story that allows the genuine build of the world and story, but I don't know how deep of a hook is needed without being out of the way extra. So, generally you want to start with something that gives people a good view into your world, right? Generally speaking, you don't want to introduce characters that don't matter. You can do this, but it rarely works well. I think the only instance, and this is one of the only praises you'll ever hear me give George R.R. Martin, is that the way A Song of Fire and Ice begins is a very well done usage of, like, the prologue. Because prologues generally are a waste of time. Prologues generally just waste people's time, and they're absolutely horrible. You, generally speaking... Mortimer, send me a message and I'll send you a better link. You have to be on a computer to get in because the guild is age restricted, so you will need to be on a computer to get to it. What was I saying? The Grim Yorodite, hello and welcome in. So very glad that you could join us. In my new Bible study, we are currently doing C.S. Lewis. I think that's actually wonderful, Hoss. If you don't have it, the Screwtape Letters are spectacular insights from Lewis. Lewis wrote a lot of very good biblical works, though. There are a lot of really wonderful things that he did. Okay, gotta run. Have fun with the read. Ace, have a wonderful night. I've just got... Yeah, for some reason, it just doesn't want to work on phones. I don't know why that is. But the age verification for some reason doesn't want to work on phones. Here, I will... Just a moment. Just a moment. We're doing mere Christianity. Ooh, that's very good. That's very good. Let's see. Copy. I'll send this to you directly. Mortifer. And if it does not work, maybe, I don't know. May not let me. Yeah, it's not gonna let me. Send me a message, Mortifer, and I'll get you a better link after we're done. After Storytime is over. But yeah, Gunnar, the most important thing to do when it comes to starting a story is to give people a glimpse into your world in a way that is fast-paced and that is interesting and intriguing. Show them what your world is capable of without revealing all of the cards that you have. And I can give you more specific feedback on it. We can have a conversation. Shay, hello and welcome in. Bangle Coffee says, fun fact, this particular installment of the Harry Potter book series had the largest print run in history. I did not know that. And this was the only one I didn't read when it came out. Manal, MNAHM, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Welcome in. Tonks was indeed lurking over on the YouTube portal there for a bit. Oh no, she's still over there, but that's where she was. But with my autism, it's hard to understand if I'm not talking to the person face to face, which is understandable. I think a lot of people have a hard time with digital communication because there is no emotion being conveyed. I'm gonna get started reading here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, Ricky asked a question. Greetings, brother. I have a question. What is a bananach? Bananach. Where do I know bananach from? Bananach. Oh. You're digging into my brain. Hang on. Bananach. I don't remember right off of the top of my head, but if I remember right, the Bananach were specters or spirits that were mentioned in the Tainbo Cooley, the cattle raid of Cooley legend. And if I remember correctly, they are sort of akin to like vengeful or ancestral spirits that loom over battlefields. But I could be wrong. If you want to send me a message about it, I can look through my books after I'm done, and I'll give you a better answer. But I got to run. Can't wait to hear from you on Even. All right, my friend Haas, thank you for dropping in. I appreciate you for being here. Go ahead and run on out, and we will see you back the next time that we gather for a story. I recently learned the word nyart, and what does it mean? Shay, hopefully it's not inappropriate. Try to keep things at least relatively family friendly around here. All right. Let's get started with story time, my friends. We are on chapter 24 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The Wand Maker. Berkey said, if a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. There's a Stoic quote. If you made a 5-minute collection and put the audio on YouTube and Facebook, I promise you will get requests for a lot more. A 5-minute collection of what, Berkey? What did I miss another message from you? Yeah, I guess wraiths would probably, off the top of my head, that is what I remember them being. But I don't want to say 100% for sure because there's a whole lot knocking around up here, and I sometimes get things mixed up. So if you want me to give you a more complete answer, send me a message, and I'll get you a better, more thorough answer of what they are. And if you like, I could even do a story time on them because I know I've heard of them before, and I think it was in the Tain Bo Cooley. It might have been in the Book of Invasions, but I think it was in the Cattle Raid of Cooley is where I remember the word from. But I can't remember explicitly what they were. I know they're spirits of some kind, and I think that they are akin to the Tuatha De Danann, but my brain's not letting me get there. Oh, so Berkey, you're saying do a 5-minute collection of like Stoic quotes and things like that? I do on occasion do quote videos. I haven't done one in a while because we've been really deep in like Nordic and Celtic histories. Like next month I have a whole lineup of we're starting long story times on the histories of the Celtic nations, who they were, where they were, when they were. So like the Nordic weird and frith. Weird is more of a modern like Old and Middle English concept that sort of gets conflated with Old Norse. But yeah, it's something like that, Mushu, something like that. I have to go, but I'll try and send you a message on Facebook so you can send me a different link. Hope you guys are having a fun story time. Thank you kindly, Mortimer. I appreciate you. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and we will talk again soon. Weird is a great word. I'm pretty weird myself. So you're pretty fateful yourself, Shay? Because weird refers to fate. You did not miss any reading, Milo. I got caught up on questions about storytelling, and you know how I get. You know how I get. Yeah, we got questions about different types of storytelling and creatures and whatnot, and I got off on one. Very much. Oh, I explained Nert. Well, actually, Nyat is the phonetic spelling. My mistake. It's Nyat. It's Irish, and there is no English equivalent, but it means energy of life. Interesting. Hang on a second. I have a book here. Let me look this up because the word doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head. Oh, now it's like Nilner Agam. Okay, yes. I have never heard it described as meaning, I've never heard it described as meaning energy of life. The way that I understand the word is as strength, but strength in the fundamentals of what strength is in strength of will, strength of heart, strength of mind, strength of body. It is an encompassment of strength. But it is interesting because you could technically say it's the energy of life. I guess that would make sense. I've never heard it described that way before. That's interesting. I found it in a book called Celtic Spirit. Interesting. Yeah, I have a dictionary that I keep. I have a ebook of it, and I have a physical version of it that is common Irish colloquialisms. Because I didn't grow up with a lot of common Irish colloquialisms because my grandfather and his family, they have very specific things that they do and ways that we approach the world, so we're a little bit different. Uh, I've nothing in the etymology puts it specifically that way, but it's a fair interpretation. Righteous anger, I think, would be a stretch of the meaning, but life force and the strength of will, strength of body, strength of mind, just strength in general, you could describe that as being like the force of will. I thought it was a neat concept, but a funny sounding word, not gonna lie. Well, that's most Irish words. Most Irish words are neat concepts and funny sounding. You're not a Norn, chatty Matty. let's hope not. If Matty's a Norn, we're all getting weird sweaters for Christmas. Okay, alright, let's get into reading, my friends. Random question for anyone. But if you could be one, what would you rather be? A wolf, a fox, or a bunny? Oh. Honestly, I would probably be a fox. Out of the three, foxes have the longest general lifespan and the least struggle out of those three to survive. Seems like my comments might vanish into thin air like a ghost. You see, you put ghost in your name and it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, Esther. I guess that's the risk of being invisible. As soon as you became a ghost, all anyone could see was the ghost. Fox, I get a little din and I can giggle. That's fair enough. Well, look, Matty. I said I hope you're not a Norn because I don't want to get a weird sweat for Christmas. Foxes are beautiful. Foxes are indeed beautiful. Foxes are lovely creatures. Okay, let's get started, friends. My head, for anyone who's new, my head is going to be down for a bit while we read stories. Stephanie also says Fox. We're on chapter 24 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, The Wand Maker. It was like sinking into... Hang on, I just realized I've been talking for half an hour. That's the moment the world truly becomes weird, huh, Matty? Mega weird. I love foxes, their dog hardware running on cat software. That is a hilarious way to describe foxes. I'm here for it. It was like sinking into an old nightmare. For an instant, Harry knelt again beside Dumbledore's body at the foot of the tallest tower at Hogwarts. But in reality, he was staring at a tiny body curled up upon the grass. Pierced by Bellatrix's silver knife, Harry's voice was still saying, "Dobby! Dobby!" Even though he knew that the elf had gone, where he could not call him back. After a minute or so, he realized that they had, after all, come to the right place, for here were Bill and Fleur, Dean and Luna, gathering around him as he knelt over the elf. "Hermione," he said suddenly, "where is she?" "Ron's taken her inside," said Bill. "She'll be all right." Harry looked back down at Dobby. He stretched out a hand and pulled the sharp blade from the elf's body. Then he dragged off his own jacket and covered Dobby in it like a blanket. The sea was rushing against the rock somewhere nearby. Harry listened to it while the others talked, discussing the matters in which he could take no interest, making decisions. Dean carried the injured grip hook into his house, Fleur hurrying behind him. Now Bill was making suggestions about burying the elf. Harry agreed without really knowing what he was saying. As he did so, he gazed down at the tiny body, and his scar prickled and burned, and in one part of his mind, viewed as if it was from the wrong end of a long telescope. He saw Voldemort pushing those they had left behind at the Malfoy Manor. His rage was dreadful, and yet Harry's grief for Dobby seemed to diminish it, so that it became a distant storm that reached Harry from across the vast, silent ocean. I want to do it properly, were the first words which was fully conscious of speaking. Not by magic. Have you got a spade? And shortly afterward, he had set to work, alone, digging the grave in the place that Bill had shown him at the end of the garden between bushes. He dug with a kind of fury, relishing the manual work, glorying in the non-magic of it. For every drop of his sweat and every blister he felt was like a gift to the elf who had saved their lives. The scar burned, but he was master of the pain. He felt it, yet was apart from it. He had learned to control at last, learned to shut his mind to Voldemort, the very thing Dumbledore had wanted him to learn from Snape. Just as Voldemort had not been able to possess Harry while Harry was consumed with grief for Sirius, so his thoughts could not penetrate Harry now, while he mourned Dobby. Grief, it seemed, drove Voldemort out, though Dumbledore, of course, would have said that it was love. On Harry dug deeper and deeper into the hard, cold earth, subsuming his grief in sweat, denying the pain in his scar. In the darkness, with nothing but the sound of his own breath and the rushing sea to keep him company, the things that had happened at the Malfoys returned to him. The things he had heard came back to him, and understanding blossomed in the darkness. The steady rhythm of his arms beat time with his thoughts. Hallows, Horcruxes, Hallows, Horcruxes. Yet he no longer burned with that weird obsessive longing. Loss and fear had snuffed it out. He felt as though he had been slapped awake again. Deeper and deeper he dug into the grave, and he knew where Voldemort had been tonight, and whom he had killed in the topmost cell of Nermangard, and why. And he thought of Wormtail, dead because of one small unconscious impulse of mercy. Dumbledore had foreseen that. How much more had he known? Harry lost track of time. He knew only that the darkness had lightened a few degrees, and he was rejoined by Ron and Dean. How's Hermione? Better, said Ron. Flo's looking after her. Harry had his retort ready for when they asked him why he had not simply created the perfect grave with his wand. But he did not need it. They jumped down into the hole he had made with spades of their own, and together they worked in silence until the hole seemed deep enough. Harry wrapped the elf more snugly in his jacket. Ron sat on the edge of the grave and stripped off his shoes and socks, which he placed upon the elf's bare feet. Dean produced a woolen hat, which Harry placed carefully upon Dobby's head, muffling his bat-like ears. We should close his eyes. Harry had not heard the others coming through the darkness. Bill was wearing a travelling cloak. Floored a large white apron with a pocket, of which protruded a bottle of what Harry recognized to be Skelligro. Hermione was wrapped in a borrowed dressing gown, pale and unsteady on her feet. Ron put an arm around her when she reached him. Luna, who was huddled in one of Flo's coats, crouched down and placed her fingers tenderly upon each of the elf's eyelids, sliding them over his glassy stare. There, she said softly.
Now he could be sleeping.
Harry placed the elf into the grave, arranged his tiny limbs so that he might have been resting, then climbed out and gazed one last time upon the little body. He forced himself not to break down as he remembered Dumbledore's funeral, and the rows of golden chairs, and the Minister of Magic in the front row, the recitation of Dumbledore's achievements, the state lines of white marble tomb. He felt that Dobby deserved just as grand a funeral, and yet here lay the elf, between bushes in a roughly dug hole.
I think we ought to say something,
piped up Luna.
I'll go first, shall I?
And as everybody looked at her, she addressed the dead elf at the bottom of the grave.
Thank you so much, Dobby, for rescuing me from that cellar. It's so unfair that you had to die when you were so good and brave. I'll always remember what you did for us. I hope you're happy now.
She turned and looked expectantly at Ron, who cleared his throat and said in a thick voice, Yeah, thanks, Dobby.
Thanks,
muttered Dean. Harry swallowed. Goodbye, Dobby, he said. It was all he could manage. But Luna had said it all for him. Bill raised his wand, and the pile of earth beside the grave rose up into the air and fell neatly upon it. A small reddish mound.
Do you mind if I stay here a moment?
He asked the others. They murmured words he did not catch, and he felt gentle pats upon his back. And then they traipsed back towards the cottage, leaving Harry alone beside the elf. He looked around, and there were a number of large white stones smoothed by the sea, marking the edge of the flower beds. He picked up one of the largest and laid it like a pillow over the place where Dobby's head now rested. He then felt in his pocket for a wand. There were two in there. He'd forgotten, lost track. He could not now remember whose wands these were. He seemed to remember wrenching them out of someone's hand. He selected the shorter of the two, which felt friendlier in his hand, and pointed it at the rock. Slowly, under his murmured instructions, deep cuts appeared upon the rock's surface. He knew that Hermione would have done it more neatly, and probably more quickly, but he wanted to mark the spot as he had wanted to dig the grave. When Harry stood up again, the stone read, "Here lies Dobby, a free elf." He looked down at his handiwork for a few more seconds and then walked away, his scar still prickling a little, and his mind full of those things that had come to him in the grave. Ideas that had taken shape in the darkness, ideas both fascinating and terrible. They were all sitting in the living room when he entered into their little hall, their attention focused upon Bill, who was talking. The room was light-colored, pretty, with a small fire of driftwood burning brightly in the fireplace. But he did not want to drop mud on the carpet, so he stood in the doorway listening. Lucky Jenny's on holiday. If she'd been at Hogwarts, they could have taken her before we reached her. Now we know she's safe too. He looked around and saw Harry standing there. I've been getting them all out of the burrow, he explained. Move them to Muriel's. The Death Eaters know Ron's with you now, and they're bound to target the family. Don't apologize, he added with the sight of Harry's expression. It's always a matter of time. Dad's been saying so for months. We're the biggest bloody trade family there is. How are they protected? asked Harry. Fidelius charm. Dad's the secret keeper. And we've done it on this cottage too. I'm the secret keeper here. None of us can go to work, but that's hardly the most important thing now. Once Ollivander and Griphook are well enough, we'll move them in Muriel's too. There isn't much room here, but she's got plenty. Griphook's legs are on the mend. Floor's giving him some skelly grow. We should probably move them in an hour or... No, said Harry, and Bill looked startled. I need both of them here. I need to talk to them. It's important. He heard the authority in his own voice, the conviction, the sense of purpose that had come to him when he dug Dobby's grave. All of their faces were turned toward him, looking puzzled. I'm going to wash, Harry told Bill, looking down at his hands, still covered in mud and Dobby's blood. Then I'll see to them straight away. He walked into the little kitchen to the basin beneath the window overlooking the sea. Dawn was breaking over the horizon, shell pink and faintly gold, as he washed, again following the train of thought that had come to him in the dark garden. Dobby would never be able to tell him who had sent him to the cellar, but Harry knew what he had seen. A piercing blue eye that had looked out of the mirror fragment. And then help had come. Help will always come and be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. Harry dried his hands, impervious to the beauty of the scene outside the window, and the murmuring of the others in the sitting room. He looked over at the ocean and felt closer this dawn than ever before, closer to the heart of it all. Sorry, friends, give me just a second. And still his... hang on, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Mushu, good night. Rest well, my friend. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening. There's too much dust and pollen here. I'm not crying, you're crying. I got close. She almost got me. Burying Dobby by hand is such a powerful notion. I feel like it was the right way. This book has had some really brilliant moments that show how much Rowling matured as a writer. I wish she'd just given that treatment to the whole book, rather than just the really tragic parts. is how I feel about it. You lucky Nipah virus is not there. Apparently we are on high alert. Well, make sure you're all being safe if there's something going around. Okay. And still his scar prickled, and he knew that Voldemort was getting there too. Harry understood and yet did not understand. His instincts was telling him one thing and his brain quite another. The Dumbledore in Harry's head smiled, surveying Harry over the tips of his fingers, pressed together as if in prayer. You gave Ron the Deluminator. You understood him. You gave him a way back. And you understood Wormtail too. You knew there was a bit of regret in there somewhere. And if you knew them, what did you know about me, Dumbledore? Am I meant to know, but not to seek? Do you know how hard I'd find that? Is that why you made it this difficult? So I'd have time to work that out. Harry stood quite still, eyes glazed, watching the place where the bright gold rim of the dazzling sun was rising over the horizon. Then he looked down at his clean hands and was momentarily surprised to see the cloth he was holding in them. He set it down and returned to the hall. As he did so, he felt his scar pulse angrily. There was a flash across his mind as swift as the reflection of a dragonfly over water, the outline of a building he knew extremely well. Bill and Flo were standing at the foot of the stairs. "I need to speak with Grip Hook and Ollivander," Harry said.
"No," said Flo. "You will have to wait, Harry. They are both ill, tired."
"I'm sorry," he said without heat, "but it can't wait. I need to talk to them now, privately and separately. It's urgent." "Harry, what the hell's going on?" asked Bill. "You turn up here with a dead house elf and half-conscious goblin. Hermione looks like she's been through torture. And Ron's just refused to tell me anything. What can I do for you?" "Give me just a second, friends." Tony Pacheco, hello and welcome in. Walks in, sits back down. Phew, it's cold out there. How you all doing? Sits in a chair. We're doing spectacular, my friend. Come on in from the cold and grab yourself a seat. Arthur Christie, you raided in. I hope that you're still in. Let me give you a toot on the raid horn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I hope that you're still in. I hope you didn't go off to bed yet. But if you are off to bed, I'll still wish you an absolutely wonderful night. Actually, I know. I popped up right as she left. Anyways, anyone who came in with the Badgers, Arthur Christie's friends, thank you and welcome. Grab your seats, settle in. For any of you who are new here, I am Castle, this is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore, and every now and again I read you all a bedtime story. Tonight we are in Harry Potter, we are in chapter 24, I believe. So grab your seats, grab a drink, settle down, and it is indeed story time. The chair stream TJ1 is so bad. I'm Josh Gamer, welcome in. Cherry, hello, welcome in. I'm so very glad that you could all join us. Where is Capitan? I hope she's well. She is dealing with quite a bit of family things, but from all I understand, she is still doing all right. She's just had a lot of family work and drama that has been occupying her incessantly for the last couple of days. But she is by all metrics and by my understanding, she's doing all right. Just struggling to keep up with all of the things that are required of her, with all the things she has going on with her family and her hubby's family. But near as I know, near as I can tell, they're doing okay. Bear, this one was sent to me some ages ago. This one is very nice quality, and it's got really intricate and lovely hand carved runes and divots into it. And I think that this one was gifted to me either by somebody at Grimfrost or somebody sent it to me from Grimfrost. I don't know exactly who, but all right, let's get back into it. Where were we? And Ron's refused to tell me anything. We can't tell you what we're doing, said Harry flatly. You're in the Order, Bill. You know Dumbledore left us a mission, and we're not supposed to talk about it to anyone else. Fleur made an impatient noise, but Bill did not look at her. He was staring at Harry. His deeply scarred face was hard to read. Finally, Bill said, All right. Who do you want to talk to first? Harry hesitated. He knew what hung on this decision. There was hardly any time left, and now was the moment to decide. Horcruxes or Hallows? Griphook, said Harry. Speak to Griphook first. His heart was racing as if he'd been sprinting and had just cleared an enormous obstacle. Up here, then, said Bill, leading the way. Harry had walked up several steps before stopping and looking back. I need you two, as well, he called to Ron and Hermione, who had been skulking, half concealed in the doorway of the sitting room. They both moved into the light, looking oddly relieved. How are you? Harry asked Hermione. You were amazing, coming up with that story when she was hurting you like that. Hermione gave a weak smile as Ron gave her a one-arm squeeze. What are you going to do, Harry? He asked. You'll see. Come on. Harry, Ron, and Hermione followed Bill up the steep stairs into a small landing. 3 doors led off it. "In here," said Bill, opening the door into his and Flora's room. It too had a view of the sea, now flecked with gold in the sunrise. Harry moved to the window, turned his back on the spectacular view, and waited, his arms folded, his scar prickling. Hermione took the chair beside the dressing table, and Ron sat on the arm. Bill reappeared carrying the little goblin, whom he set down carefully upon the bed. Griphook grunted thanks, and Bill left, closing the door upon them all. Sheer Bliss, hello, good to see you, welcome in. Thank you kindly for the heart me, and for the hat and moustache. Thank you very much, it's good to see you. I was chatting with the good captain yesterday. Other than her little suffering a bit of cabin fever, things aren't too bad. Christy, hello, and Albert Jeffrey Witter says, Skull, my friend. I just found you and I love what you're doing. Well, thank you kindly. And welcome in. For those of you who are new, who are just now seeing, and for this being your first time actually chatting with us here in the tavern, I am Castle, and this is our tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. And every now and again, I read you all a bedtime story. This is a tavern at the end of the world where all stories eventually come to rest. And you are here because you sought a story. Now, while my family are primarily Scandinavian, Nordic, and Irish, and that is where we tell a lot of stories from there. We tell stories from all over the world, and our primary focus here is the preservation of the classical art of storytelling. And that is what we do. And for those of you who share that passion, we'll be very glad to have you. Sheer Bliss, you said, so happy to see you alive as well. Very good to see you back. It's been a while, and I'm glad that you're here. Friends over on Twitch, I'm gonna run the ads again. I'm gonna take a we'll stop here for a second before they get into interrogating Griphook. We'll do 3 minutes of ads, then we'll have 60 minutes without them. How have you been, Bliss? It has been a while. I assume you're working. Everybody's been working. It's been a bit of a busy season already. I hope that you've been well and thriving. Did I miss anything else? Doesn't seem like it. We missed the raid. Oh, Hallows! I didn't see you drop in, but hello, good to see you. I don't know what happened to my Harry Potter books. I think a lot of people probably had them when they were young, and then they sort of disappeared. I've been down with pneumonia. Pneumonia is dreadful, Bliss. I had a lot of issues with my heart when I was younger, and they've gotten better as I've gotten older, but I used to have a lot of issues with my heart, and I've died a few times, and when I would die, I would aspirate. When my lungs would stop working, I would aspirate as I woke up, and it tended me towards pneumonia quite a bit. And so now I'm very prone to walking pneumonia, where I will just get a little bit of fluid in my lungs and it won't go away, and it'll lead to me coughing to a point where I've dislocated my own ribs and torn muscles from how badly I cough. It's dreadful. It's absolutely the worst. Donny Pipsqueak, hello! I've been working on Wicca. Very good. Now, I should warn everybody who comes, because I know a lot of folk will watch the story times that we do. Culturally, my family have a lot of pagan traditions, but religiously we are not pagan. We don't have any sort of spiritual practices. We tell and keep stories of old, so I don't have any real opinions or authority from the point of religious or spiritual perspectives. I just tell the historical and traditional stories about them. I just don't want to mislead anybody in that who drops in thinking that I might have some wisdom about especially the modern spiritual practices, because I don't. I can tell you the stories, but I wouldn't have much to knowledge on what the modern spiritual communities do. It is, but you look and sound great now. Thank you kindly, Bliss. I appreciate you. And they have a festival. Yes, if you are interested in how my family do celebrate these cultural things, my wife and I did put together a lovely handbook that goes over the basics. This is not exhaustive by any means. It's just a basics of how my family celebrates the various festivals of the year, some of the recipes that we cook, and just some of our traditions. So you can find that on the tavern shop, and you can find it on Amazon if you're so inclined. Thank you, Milo. I appreciate you. I'm going back to the hospital tomorrow. I have pulled my back out and my ribs hurt from coughing. It's dreadful, Stephanie. I sympathize. I rarely get hurt, but when I do, I usually hurt myself. So please make sure you're taking care. Your back is so incredibly important. Make sure you're taking care of your back and make sure you're taking care of yourself. It's very, very important. And it looks like our ads are finished, so let's go ahead and continue, my friends. We are in. So for all of the new folk, come on in, sit down, grab a seat. It's a very good and inexpensive. Yes, we tried. We made it as inexpensive as Amazon would let us make it because it's a print on demand. We don't keep a whole lot of them. But I think they let us make the print version of it like $8 or $9, and then the ebook version of it is I think $4. I rarely get sick, but this is bad. Every once in a while, it'll just creep up on you and get you, Stephanie, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about it. It's just your body going through the natural things that has to be done so your immune system can improve. But please do make sure that you're taking care of yourself. It's very important. I'm just hanging out in the background listening. That's all right, Hallows. Lurking is what I think a bulk of tavern patrons do. I think we've got somewhere around 40 or 50 people across everything right now, just spending time, and most folk are just lurking. I just imagine a brick and mortar tavern, and when the ads play, half the people just go taunt idle. That would be funny. That would be funny. All right, friends, we're gonna pop back in. Where were we? I'm sorry to take you out of bed, said Harry. How are your legs?
Painful,
Replied the goblin.
but mending.
He was still clutching the sword of Gryffindor. How did I lose my place? And wore a strange look, half translucent, half intrigued. Harry noted the goblin's sallow skin, his long, thin fingers, and his black eyes. Lord had removed his shoes, and his long feet were dirty, and he was much larger than a house elf, but not by much. His domed head was much bigger than a human's. You probably don't remember, Harry began.
I was the goblin who showed you your vault. First time you ever visited Gringotts.
Said Griphook.
I remember, Harry Potter. Even amongst goblins, you're very famous.
Harry and the goblin looked at each other, sizing each other up. Harry's scar wanted to get through this interview with Griphook quickly, and at the same time was afraid of making a false move. While he tried to decide on the best way to approach his request, the goblin broke the silence.
You buried the elf?
He said, sounding unexpectedly rancorous.
I watched. From the window of the bedroom next door.
Yes, said Harry. Griphook looked at him out of the corners of his slanting black eyes.
You're an unusual wizard, Harry Potter.
In what way? Said Harry, rubbing his scar absently.
You dug the grave.
So? Griphook did not answer. Harry rather thought he was being sneered at for acting like a muggle, but it did not much matter to him whether Griphook approved of Dobby's grave or not. He gathered himself for the attack. Griphook, I need to ask.
You also rescued a goblin.
What?
You brought me here. Saved me.
Well, I take it you're not sorry, said Harry a little impatiently.
No, Harry Potter,
said Griphook. With one finger he twisted the thin black beard upon his chin.
But you're a very odd wizard.
Right, said Harry. Well, I need some help, Griphook. And you can give it to me.
The goblin made no sign of encouragement, but continued to frown at Harry as though he'd never seen anything like him.
I need to break into a Gringotts vault.
Harry had not meant to say it so badly. The words were forced out of him as pain shot through his lightning scar, and he saw again the outline of Hogwarts. He closed his mind firmly. He needed to deal with Griphook first. Ron and Hermione were staring at Harry as though he had gone mad.
Harry,
said Hermione, but she was cut off by Griphook.
Break into a Gringotts vault?
Repeated the goblin, wincing a little as he shifted position upon the bed.
It's impossible.
No, it isn't, Ron contradicted him. It's been done.
Yeah,
said Harry.
the same day I met you. Griphook, my birthday, 7 years ago.
The vault in question was empty at the time.
Snapped the goblin, and Harry understood that even though Griphook had left Gringotts, he was offended at the idea of its defences being breached.
Its protection was minimal.
Well, the vault I need to get into isn't empty, and I'm guessing the protection will be pretty powerful,
said Harry.
It belongs to the Lestrangers.
He saw Hermione and Ron look at each other, astonished, but there would be time enough to explain after Griphook had given his answer.
You have no chance. No chance at all. If you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours.
Thief be warned, beware. Yeah, I know, I remember, said Harry. But I'm not trying to get myself any treasure. I'm not trying to take anything for personal gain. Can you believe that?
The goblin looked slantwise at Harry, and the lightning scar on Harry's forehead prickled, but he ignored it, refusing to acknowledge its pain or its invitation.
If there was a wizard of whom I would believe that they did not seek personal gain,
said Griphook finally,
it would be you, Harry Potter. Goblins and elves are not used to the protection or the respect of those that you have shown this night, not from wand carriers.
Wand carriers, repeated Harry. The phrase fell oddly upon his ears as his scar prickled, as Voldemort turned his thoughts northward, and as Harry burned to question Ollivander next door.
The right to carry a wand,
said the goblin quietly,
has long been contested between wizards and goblins.
Well, goblins can do magic without wands, said Ron.
That is immaterial. Wizards refuse to share the secrets of wand lore with other magical beings. They deny us the possibility of extending our powers.
Well, goblins won't share any of their magic either, said Ron. You won't tell us how to make swords or armor the way you do. Goblins know how to work metal in ways wizards never have. It doesn't matter, said Harry, noting Griphook's rising colour. This isn't about wizards versus goblins, or any sort of magical creature.
Griphook gave a nasty laugh.
But it is. It is about precisely that. As the Dark Lord becomes ever more powerful, your race is still more firmly above mine. Gringotts falls under wizarding rule. House elves are slaughtered. And who amongst the wand carriers protests?
You know, I don't think we ever found out how or why the sword ever ended up in the Lestrange vault. So, the book tells us, the films I presume do not. Voldemort gave the fake sword, because again, remember, I've never seen the films, and this is my first time reading the book, but we learned 2 chapters ago, or 1 chapter ago, that Voldemort gave the fake sword, or not Voldemort, Snape. Snape gave the fake sword to Bellatrix, and she put it in the vault. You did come in late, Matty.
We do,
said Hermione, and she had sat up straight, her eyes bright.
we protest. And I'm hunted quite as much as a goblin or elf, Griphook. I'm a mudblood.
Don't call yourself, Ron muttered.
And why shouldn't I?
Said Hermione.
Mudblood, and proud of it. I've got no higher position under this new order than you have, Griphook. It was me they chose to torture back at the Malfoys.
As she spoke, she pulled aside the neck of the dressing gown to reveal the thin cut Bellatrix had made scarlet against her throat.
Did you know that it was Harry who set Dobby free?
She asked.
Did you know that we've wanted elves freed for years?
Ron fidgeted uncomfortably on one arm of Hermione's chair.
You can't want you-know-who defeated more than we do, Griphook.
The goblin gazed at Hermione with the same curiosity he had shown Harry.
What do you seek within the stranger's vault?
He asked abruptly.
The sword that lies there is a fake. This is the real one.
He looked from one to the other of them and then back.
I think that you already know this. You asked me to lie for you back there.
But the fake sword isn't the only thing in the vault, is it?
Asked Harry.
Perhaps you've seen other things in there.
His heart was pounding harder than ever. He redoubled his efforts to ignore the pulsing of his scar. The goblin twisted his beard around his finger again.
It is against our code to speak of secrets of Gringotts. We are the guardians of fabulous treasures. We have a duty to the objects placed in our care, which were so often wrought by our fingers.
The goblin stroked the sword, and his black eyes roved from Harry to Hermione to Ron and then back again.
So young,
he said finally,
to be fighting so many.
Will you help us? Asked Harry. We haven't got a hope of breaking in without a goblin's help. You're our one chance.
I shall think about it,
said Griphook maddeningly. But Ron started angrily, and Hermione nudged him into the ribs.
Thank you,
said Harry. The goblin bowed his great domed head in acknowledgement, and then flexed his short legs.
I think,
he said, settling himself ostentatiously upon Bill and Floor's bed,
that the Scarecrow has finished its work. I may be able to sleep at last. Forgive me.
Yes, of course,
said Harry. But before leaving the room, he leaned forward and took the sword of Gryffindor from beside the goblin. Griphook did not protest, but Harry saw the resentment in the goblin's eyes as he closed the door upon him. Little git, whispered Ron. He's enjoying keeping us hanging.
Harry,
whispered Hermione, pulling them both away from the door and into the middle of the still dark landing.
Are you saying that what I think you're saying? Are you saying that there are Horcruxes in the Lestranger's vault?
Yes, said Harry.
Bellatrix was terrified when she thought we'd been in there. She was beside herself. Why? What did she think we'd seen? What else did she think we might have taken? Something she was petrified you-know-who would find out about. But I thought we were looking for places you-know-who's been. Places he's done something important, said Ron, looking baffled. Was he ever inside Lestranger's vault? I don't know whether he was ever inside Gringotts, said Harry. He never had gold there when he was younger, because nobody left him anything. He would have seen the bank from the outside, though. First time he ever went to Diagon Alley.
Harry's scoff roared, but he ignored it. He wanted Ron and Hermione to understand about Gringotts before they spoke to Ollivander.
I think he would have envied anyone who had a key to a Gringotts vault. I think he would have seen it as a real symbol of belonging to the wizarding world. Don't forget, he trusted Bellatrix and her husband. They were his most devoted servants before he fell. And they went looking for him after he vanished. He said it the night he came back. I heard him.
Harry rubbed his scar.
I don't think he'd have told Bellatrix it was a Horcrux, though. He never told Lucius Malfoy the truth about the diary. And he probably told her it was a treasured possession and asked her to place it in a vault. Safest place in the world for anything you want to hide, Hagrid told me, except for Hogwarts.
When Harry finished speaking, Ron shook his head.
You really understand him.
Bits of him, said Harry.
Bits. I just wish I'd understood Dumbledore as much. But we'll see. Come on, Ollivander now.
Ron and Hermione looked bewildered but impressed as they followed him across the little landing and knocked upon the door opposite Bill and Floors. A weak,
"Come in,"
answered them. The wand maker was lying on a twin bed farthest from the window. He'd been held in the cellar for more than a year and tortured. Harry knew on at least one occasion he was emaciated and the bones in his face were sticking out sharply against the yellowish skin. His great silver eyes seemed vast in their sunken sockets. The hands that laid upon the blanket could have belonged to a skeleton. Harry sat down on the empty bed beside Ron and Hermione, and the rising sun was not visible here. The room faced the cliff-top garden and the freshly dug grave.
Mr. Ollivander, I'm sorry to disturb you,
Harry said. Hello, Hazels. Welcome in. I'm so very glad that you could join us. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the follow. And tips to the Tavern Keeper are always appreciated. Thank you for the rose. Grab a seat, settle in. We're in the midst of story time. We'll have a little bit of chatting here on after. I find it interesting that there is this whole entire banking system natural to the politics of the world. Like a Death Eater and a regular wizard can both have accounts at the same bank. It is kind of interesting, right? Like how Gringotts is sort of like the Switzerland of the wizarding world. There's a bit of neutrality there.
"My dear boy,"
Ollivander's voice was feeble.
"you rescued us. I thought we would die in that place. I can never thank you. Never thank you enough."
We were glad to do it.
Harry's scar throbbed. He knew, he was certain, that there was hardly any time left in which to beat Voldemort to his goal, or else to attempt to thwart him. He felt a flutter of panic, yet he made his decision when he chose to speak to Griphook first. Feigning a calm he did not feel, he groped in a pouch around his neck, and took out the two halves of his broken wand.
Mr. Ollivander, I need some help.
Anything,
said the weak wand maker.
Can you mend this? Is it possible?
Ollivander held out his trembling hand, and Harry placed the two barely connected halves in his palm.
"Holly and Phoenix Feather,"
said Ollivander in a tremulous voice.
11 inches, nice and supple.
Yes, said Harry. Can you...
"No,"
whispered Ollivander.
"I am sorry, very sorry. But a wand that has suffered this degree of damage cannot be repaired by any means that I know of."
Harry had been braced to hear it, but it was a blow nevertheless. He took the wand halves back and replaced them in the pouch around his neck. Ollivander stared at the place where the shattered wand had vanished, and did not look away until Harry had taken from his pocket the 2 wands he had brought from the Malfoys. "Can you identify these?" Harry asked. The wand-maker took the first of the wands and held it very close to his faded eyes, rolling it between his knobble-knuckled fingers, flexing it slightly.
"Walnut, dragon heartstrings,"
He said.
12 3/4 inches, unyielding. This wand belonged to Bellatrix Lestrange.
"And this one?" Ollivander performed the same examination.
Hawthorn and unicorn hair, 10 inches precisely, reasonably springy. This is the wand of Draco Malfoy.
"Was," repeated Harry. "Isn't it still his?"
Perhaps not. If you took it,
"I did."
then it may be yours. Of course, the manner of taking matters, much as it depends on the wand itself. In general, however, where a wand has been won, its allegiance will change.
There was a silence in the room, except for the distant rushing of the sea. "You talk about wands like they've got feelings," said Harry. "Like they can think for themselves."
The wand chooses the wizard,
said Ollivander.
That much has always been clear to those of us who have studied wand lore.
"A person can use a wand that hasn't chosen them, though?" asked Harry.
Oh, yes. If you are any wizard at all, you'll be able to channel your magic through almost any instrument. Best results, however, must always come where there is the strongest affinity between wizard and wand. The connections are complex. An initial attraction and then a mutual quest for experience. The wands learn from the wizard and the wizards from the wand.
The sea gushed forward and backward. It was a mournful sound. "I took this wand from Draco Malfoy by force," said Harry. "Can I use it safely?"
I think so. Subtle laws govern wand ownership. But the conquered wand will usually bend to its will to its new master.
"So, should I use this one?" said Ron, pulling Wormtail's wand out of his pocket and handing it to Ollivander.
Chestnut, dragon heartstring, 9 1/4 inches, brittle. I was forced to make this shortly after my kidnapping, for Peter Pettigrew. Yes, if you want it, it's more likely to do your bidding, and do it well, than any other wand.
"And this holds true for all wands, does it?" asked Harry.
I think so.
Replied Ollivander, his protuberant eyes upon Harry's face.
You ask deep questions, Mr. Potter. Wand lore is complex and mysterious branch of magic.
"So it isn't necessary to kill the previous owner to take true possession of a wand?" Ollivander swallowed.
Necessary? No, I should say that it is... I should not say that it is necessary to kill.
"There are legends, though," said Harry, and his heart rate quickened. The pain in his scar became more intense. He was sure that Voldemort had decided to put his idea into action. There are legends about a wand, or wands, that have passed from hand to hand by murder. "Good night, Frost. Rest well, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and that you find yourself rested well upon the morrow, and awakening to face the day like the absolutely bleeding legend that you are, my friend. Rest well. More like Wizarding World Fort Knox." Yeah, to a degree that I would agree. I just mean that in the sense that they are politically neutral in some sense, right? Like there's not a whole lot of side taking that goes on. Matthew Bard, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. I hope you find yourself well here in the tavern. You've marked us on your map, so you should be able to find your way back the next time you seek a story. Rain, hello! You did miss Waffles. We only did about 45 minutes of Waffles tonight. I say only. It's an awful lot of time to be waffling about, if we're being honest. Mark Dog, hello! Hey man, I really love your content. Well, thank you kindly, my friend. I'm very glad that you could join us. If I've never introduced I know we've had a conversation about the history of your last name. But if I've not introduced myself, I am Castle, and this is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. Every now and again, I read you all a story. Tonight we're in the midst of Harry Potter, so pull up a seat if you're so inclined. We've only got a few more pages left in this chapter, and then we'll take a quick break, and we might read another one before the night is done. Phone ran out of juice, well that's not good. Also, friends, if you're on the YouTube or on the Facebook portals, you will be a little bit behind everyone else. The fastest and most up-to-date of all of the chats tends to be over on the Twitch portal. Tiny single-serve waffles. Let's see. Ollivander turned pale. Against the snowy pillow, he was light grey, and his eyes were enormous, bloodshot and bulging with what looked like fear.
Only one wand, I think,
he whispered. And you know who was interested in it, isn't he? Asked Harry.
How?
He croaked Ollivander, and he looked appealingly at Ron and Hermione for help.
How do you know this?
He wanted you to tell him how to overcome the connection between our wands, said Harry. Ollivander looked terrified.
He tortured me. You must understand that. The Cruciatus cares. I had no choice but to tell him what I knew, what I guessed.
I understand, said Harry. You told him about the twin cores. You said he just had to borrow another wizard's wand. Ollivander looked horrified, transfixed by the amount that Harry knew, and he nodded slowly. But it didn't work, Harry went on. Mine still beat the borrowed wand. Do you know why that is? Ollivander shook his head as slowly as he had just nodded.
I had never heard of such a thing. Your wand performed something unique that night. The connection of twin cores is incredibly rare, yet why your wand should have snapped the borrowed wand, I do not know.
We were talking about the other wand, the one that changes hand by murder. When you know who realized my wand had done something strange, he came back and asked about the other wand, didn't he?
Do you know this?
Harry did not answer.
Yes, he asked,
whispered Ollivander.
He wanted to know everything. I could tell him about the wand variously known as the Death Stick, the Wand of Destiny, or the Elder Wand.
Harry glanced sideways at Hermione. She looked flabbergasted.
The Dark Lord,
said Ollivander in a hushed and frightened tone,
had always been happy with the wand I made him. You and Phoenix Feather, 13.5 inches. Until he discovered the connection with the twin cores. Now he seeks another, more powerful wand. It's the only way to conquer yours.
But he'll know soon, if he doesn't already. The mine's broken beyond repair, said Harry quietly.
No,
said Hermione, sounding frightened.
he can't know that, Harry. How could he?
Priori incantatem, said Harry. We left your wand
and the Blackthorn wand at Malfoy's, Hermione. And if they examine them properly, make them recreate the spells they've cast lately, they'll see that yours broke mine. They'll see that you tried to failed to mend mine. They'll realise that I've been using the Blackthorn wand ever since.
The little colour she had regained since the arrival had drained from her face. Ron gave Harry a reproachful look and said,
"Let's not worry about that right now."
But Ollivander intervened.
The Dark Lord no longer seeks the Elder Wand, only for your destruction, Mr. Potter. He is determined to possess it, because he believes it will make him truly invulnerable.
And will it?
The owner of the Elder Wand must always fear attack,
said Ollivander.
But the idea of the Dark Lord in possession of the Death Stick is, I must admit, formidable.
Harry was suddenly reminded of how he had been unsure, when they first met, of how much he liked Ollivander. Even now, he'd been tortured and imprisoned by Voldemort. The idea of the Dark Wizard in possession of this wand seemed to enthrall him as much as it repulsed him.
You really think this wand exists then, Mr. Ollivander?
Asked Hermione.
Oh, yes,
said Ollivander.
It is perfectly possible to trace the wand's course through history. There are gaps, of course, and long ones, when it vanishes from view, temporarily lost or hidden, but it always resurfaces. It has certain identifying characteristics that those who are learned in one law recognize. There are written accounts, some of them obscure, and I and other wand makers have made it our business to study. They have the ring of authenticity.
So that you don't think it can be a fairy tale or a myth?
Hermione asked hopefully.
No,
said Ollivander.
Whether it needs to pass by murder, I do not know. Its history is bloody. But that may be simply due to the fact that it is such a desirable object and arouses such passions in wizards, immensely powerful, dangerous in the wrong hands, an object of incredible fascination to all who study the power of wands.
Mr. Ollivander, said Harry. You told you know who the Gregorovitch had the Elder Wand, didn't you?
Ollivander turned, if possible, even paler. He looked ghostly as he gulped.
But how do you...
Never mind how I know it, said Harry, closing his eyes momentarily, as his scar burned and he saw for a mere second the vision of the main street in Hogsmeade. Still dark, as it was much farther north.
You told you know who Gregorovitch had the wand.
It was a rumour,
whispered Ollivander.
A rumour years and years ago, long before you were born. I believe Gregorovitch started it himself. You can see how good it would be for business. That he was studying and duplicating qualities of the Elder Wand.
Yes, I can see that, said Harry, and he stood up. Mr. Ollivander, one last thing, and then we'll let you get some rest. What do you know about the Deathly Hallows?
The what?
Asked the wand maker, looking utterly bewildered.
The Deathly Hallows.
I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Is this still something to do with wands?
Harry looked into the sunken face and believed that Ollivander was not acting. He did not know about the Hallows.
Thank you,
said Harry.
Thank you very much. We'll leave you to get some rest now.
Ollivander looked stricken.
He was torturing me,
he gasped.
The Cruciatus curse. You have no idea.
I do,
said Harry.
I really do. Please, get some rest. Thank you for telling me all of this.
Gobbleforge, hello, good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. Grab your seat. I've always honestly thought that it wasn't actually Harry's wand that beat Voldemort, but it was the unintentional Horcrux within Harry that defended itself. Well, when he beat the borrowed wand, that is. I think that that's probably a possibility, but I also think that you've probably put more thought into that than J.K. Rowling did. She did not do a significant amount of continuity work in her story, sadly. So there are a lot of things that don't make sense simply because they were not thought about in great enough detail to make sense. Dedra, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Welcome in. Grab a seat, settle in. We are in the midst of story time. He led Ron and Hermione down the staircase. Harry got a glimpse of Bill, Fleur, and Luna and Dean sitting at the table in the kitchen, cups of tea in front of them. They all looked up at Harry as he appeared in the doorway, but he merely nodded to them and continued into the garden. Ron and Hermione behind him. The reddish mound of earth that covered Dobby lay ahead, and Harry walked back to it. As the pain in his head built more and more powerfully, it was a huge effort now to close down the visions that were forcing themselves upon him. But he knew that he would have to resist only a little longer. He would yield very soon, because he needed to know that his theory was right. He must make only one more short effort, so that he could explain to Ron and Hermione. Grigorovich had the wand a long time ago, he said. I saw you-know-who trying to find him. When he tracked him down and found that Grigorovich didn't have it anymore and it was stolen from him by Grindelwald. How Grindelwald found out about Grigorovich had it, I don't know. But if Grigorovich was stupid enough to spread the rumour, it can't have been that difficult. Voldemort was at the gates of Hogwarts. Harry could see him standing there and see the lamp bobbing in the pre-dawn, coming closer and closer. And Grindelwald used the Elder Wand to become powerful. And at the height of his power, when Dumbledore knew he was the only one who could stop him, he dueled Grindelwald and beat him, and he took the Elder Wand.
Dumbledore had the Elder Wand, said Ron, but then, where is it now?
At Hogwarts, said Harry, fighting to remain with them in the cliff-top garden.
But let's go, said Ron urgently. Harry, let's go and get it before he does.
It's too late for that, said Harry. He could not help himself, but clutched his head, trying to help it resist. He knows where it is. He's there now.
Harry,
said Ron furiously.
How long have you known this? Why have we been wasting time? Why did you talk to Griphook first? We could have gone. We could still go.
No, said Harry, and he sank to his knees in the grass. Hermione's right. Dumbledore didn't want me to have it. He didn't want me to take it. He wanted me to get the Horcruxes.
The unbeatable wand, Harry, moaned Ron.
I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to get the Horcruxes. And now everything was cool and dark. The sun was barely visible over the horizon as he glided alongside Snape, up through the grounds towards the lake.
Shall join you in the castle shortly,
he said in his high, cold voice.
Leave me now.
Snape bowed and set off back up the path, his black cloak billowing behind him. Harry walked slowly, waiting for Snape's figure to disappear. It would not do for Snape, or indeed anyone else, to see where he was going. But there were no lights in the castle windows. He could conceal himself. And in the second, he had cast upon himself a disillusionment charm that hid him even from his own eyes. And he walked on around the edge of the lake, taking in the outlines of the beloved castle. His first kingdom, his birthright. And here it was, beside the lake, reflected in the dark waters, the white marble tomb, an unnecessary blot on the familiar landscape. He felt again that rush of controlled euphoria, that heady sense of purpose and destruction. He raised the old yew wand. How fitting that this would be its last great act. The tomb split open from head to foot. The shrouded figure was as long and thin as it had been in life. He raised the wand again. The wrappings fell down. The face was translucent, pale, sunken, yet almost perfectly preserved. They had left his spectacles on his crooked nose, and he felt amused derision. Dumbledore's hands were folded upon his chest, and there it lay, clutched beneath them and buried with him. Had the fool imagined that the marble or death would protect the wand? Had he thought that the Dark Lord would be scared to violate his tomb? The spider-like hands swooped and pulled the wand from Dumbledore's grasp, and as he took it, a shower of sparks flew from its tip, sparkling over the corpse of its last owner, and ready to serve its new master. And so ends chapter 24 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, my friend. I'm a deep thinker when I want to be. I give you all credit in the world, my friend. All credit in the world. Huzzah indeed. Well then, we are quite late. Let's see how long this next chapter is. 3:30. This next chapter is not terribly long. We could probably power through this in about 30 minutes if we really wanted to. Shibblies, I'm glad that you enjoyed. What do we say, friends? It's getting late. I would like to finish up by 10. When who beat what borrowed wand now? What is that sentence, Cloudus? Jonas, hello, it's good to see you. Sorry, I had to stop tapping carpal tunnel. You know, that's all right, Bliss, that's all right. I love it. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Bear, thank you kindly, brother. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. Enjoy your Black Dragon mead, the house brew. Thank you kindly, my friend. Rain says she can stay up. All right. I think let's do ads for our Twitch friends again real quick, so that they don't get caught up. They've only got about 15 minutes left without them. So we'll do one more set of ads, and then we're just gonna power through it, and we're gonna do this next chapter. 10 pages. I think we can do it. I'm off to bed. It's after midnight here. All right, Hallows. I appreciate you. Rest well, my friend. And we will see you back on Sunday for more story time. One more chapter. All right. Let's do one more. We're going to run ads for our Twitch friends. I'm going to mute real quick. I'm going to get up on a stretch and get some more water. And then we will be off to the races. Look at that. Made it back just in time. Getting pretty good at that. Oh no. I think we can do one more chapter of Bliss. I don't think this is gonna be a problem. I don't remember that. I remember Hedwig taking an what? That did also happen. Alright. Onward, friends. Let us continue. Back for the butterbeer. Alright. Let me fill my glass here. Yes, please, another chapter count. You shall have it, Esther. You shall have it. I appreciate all the love and support, friends. And so, I miscalculated how many chapters and how much reading we have left. The readathon is very likely going to be either at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, based on how long we have left in these books. We'll know for sure in like the next week or two how much longer we're going to have. So, we'll know then what we have to look forward to. And that'll give the lady and I time to get the rest of the stuff for the giveaways as well, so give us a little bit of time. Alright, let's get back into it. Big Nasty came over from Facebook. We should be about halfway through this one. We are a little bit more than halfway, Uncle Scooby. That's good instincts. We're, I think, 65% of the way through this one. According to the e-reader, anyways. Big Nasty, what's your Facebook name so I can recognize you? Or if you have a preferred name, or if you prefer to be called Big Nasty. Jonathan Lee Plinkington, hello, welcome in. I've read the books like 59 times a piece. Jonathan Plinkington, alright, do you prefer to be called Jonathan? Or I can just call you Nasty, which would be an interesting turn of phrase. But if you want to be called Nasty, I can. Alright. Well, welcome in, grab a seat. Settle in. We're going to start chapter 25 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Ooh. For the bit. I'd like to be called pretty. You are lovely, Matty. Absolutely lovely. Yeah, we got Big Nasty in here now. Pretty chatty. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, my friends, here we go. Let's just get back into... Make sure we're still all right over on TikTok. Okay. Chapter 25 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Shell Cottage. Bill and Flo's cottage stood alone on a cliff, overlooking the sea. Its walls embedded with shells and white water. Hang on, the music has gotten strange. Just hang on a second. Let me fix it. Maybe. Perhaps. Just being a pain in my butt. Alright. There we go. Music is it was not the right vibe. Alright. Bill and Flo's cottage stood alone on a cliff overlooking the sea, its walls embedded with shells and whitewashed. It was a lonely and beautiful place. Whenever Harry went inside the tiny cottage or its garden, he could hear the constant ebb and flow of the sea, like the breathing of some great slumbering creature. He spent much of the next few days making excuses to escape the crowded cottage, craving the cliff-top view and of open sky and wide empty sea. The feel of cold, salty wind on his face. The enormity of his decision not to race Voldemort to the wand still scared Harry. He could not remember ever before choosing not to act. It's an important lesson is that you have to be willing to not act sometimes. That's a lesson we usually learn far too late. You're not always required to act. Sometimes inaction is the action you're supposed to take. Hannah, hello, long time no see, welcome in. So very glad that you could join us. Grab a seat, we're just starting a new chapter. But Jonathan, welcome in, by the way. I don't know if I've ever introduced myself. I'm Castle, and this is our tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. Every now and again, I read you all a story, and that's what we're doing tonight. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday is story time, where we read together, talk about the stories, talk about writing, talk about storytelling in general. And you found yourself here because you sought a story. So, get to know the other regulars. Regulars, introduce yourself. Deborah Denisel says, I found you on here. Well, welcome in, Deborah. It's good to see you. Very glad that you could join us. If I don't see something when my head is down, please feel free to bug me. You're more than welcome to repeat anything that you said that I missed while my head is down, friends. Rain, I would say that you are a regular now. I would say that you are a regular. You've been in several weeks in a row. I think you firmly found a seat in the tavern. Hannah's an old regular. She hasn't been in a while. The lady's doing well. She's actually sitting right across from me, working on some new stories for all of you. Bliss is also a regular. I think we have mostly regulars in tonight. A few new folk in, and that's always lovely to have. Are you still doing the gaming night on Wednesday night? I am not. I haven't for a while, Tyson. I know a lot of folks would like for us to bring it back. I don't know if I have the time, but if I do get time, I'll do some more games on Twitch. Just story ones, but I'll let you guys know. The lady and I have a lot we have to get not caught up on, but a lot of projects that are due by the end of the month. So maybe sometime in the next couple of months we'll have time for more games. Hopefully. I'm so down. I've caught a few of your videos and look forward to being a part of the crew. Spectacular. We love a new regular, don't we, boys and girls? The absolute rapscallions of the tavern. We love fresh meat, new blood. Or we could just be nice about it and say new friends. Bliss also says hello, my dear. She's got her headphones on, I think. Love you. My darling. Bliss and Hannah both say hello because it's been a while since they've seen you. New blood, rah, yeah. And some projects, well, those are the ones that we're working on, Bear. Those are the ones I'm talking about. The ones that we've been working on for over a year, those are the ones that we're trying to get done now, and that's why I had to stop doing the games over on Twitch. I know a lot of people really liked going through the story games together, especially the ones that had mythology ties to them. But I couldn't spare the extra 4 to 8 hours a week to go through them when we have so many other projects that we're working on. Fresh meat is night. I agree, Jonas, I agree. Newcomers are always nice. It keeps it flowing. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And Bear says, all the loves to our lovely hostess. All right. What if Dumbledore wanted us to work out the symbol in time to get the wand? What if working out the symbol made you worthy to get the Hallows? Harry, if that really was the older one, how the hell are we supposed to finish off you-know-who? Harry had no answers. There were moments when he wondered whether it had been outright madness to not try and prevent Voldemort from breaking open the tomb. He could not even explain satisfactorily why he had decided against it. Every time he tried to reconstruct the internal arguments that had led to this decision, they sounded feebler to him. Good lord, what is the absolute ridiculousness of this? Okay, we should be good now. That one song is ridiculous. The odd thing was that Hermione's support made him feel just as confused as Ron's doubts. Now forced to accept that the Elder Wand was real, she maintained that it was an evil object, and that the way Voldemort had taken possession of it was repellent, not to be considered.
You could have never done that, Harry, she said again and again. You couldn't have broken into Dumbledore's grave.
But the idea of Dumbledore's corpse frightened Harry much less than the possibility that he might have misunderstood Dumbledore's living intentions. He felt that he was still groping in the dark. He had chosen his path, but kept looking back, wondering whether he had misread the signs, whether he should not have taken the other way. From time to time, anger at Dumbledore crashed over him again, powerful as the waves slamming themselves against the cliff beneath the cottage. Anger that Dumbledore had not explained before he died.
But is he dead?
Said Ron 3 days after they'd arrived at the cottage. Harry had been staring out over the wall that separated the cottage garden from the cliff when Ron and Hermione had found him. He wished they had not, having no wish to join into their argument.
Yes, he is, Ron. Please, don't start that again.
Look at the facts, Hermione, said Ron, speaking across Harry, who continued to gaze at the horizon. The silver doe, the sword, the eye Harry saw in the mirror. Harry admits he could have imagined the eye. Don't you, Harry? I could have, said Harry without looking at her. But you don't know that you did, do you? Asked Ron. No, I don't, said Harry. There you go, said Ron quickly before Hermione could carry on. If it wasn't Dumbledore, explain how Dobby knew we were in the cellar, Hermione.
I can't. But can you explain how Dumbledore sent him to us if he's lying in a tomb at Hogwarts?
I don't know. Could have been a ghost. Dumbledore wouldn't come back as a ghost, said Harry. There was little about Dumbledore that he was sure of now, but that much he knew. He would have gone on. What do you mean, gone on? Asked Ron. But before Harry could say any more, a voice behind them said,
Harry.
Fleur had come out of the cottage, her long silver hair flying in the breeze.
Harry, Griphook would like to speak to you. He is in the smallest bedroom. He says he does not want to be overheard.
Her dislike of the goblin sending her to deliver messages was clear. She looked irritable as she walked back around the house. Griphook was waiting for them, as Fleur had said, in the tiniest of the cottage's 3 bedrooms, in which Hermione and Luna slept by night. He had drawn the red cotton curtains against the bright cloudy sky, which gave the room a fiery glow at odds with the rest of the airy, light cottage.
I've reached my decision, Harry Potter,
said the goblin, who was sitting cross-legged in the now low chair, drumming its arm with its spindly fingers.
Though the goblins of Gringotts will consider this base treachery, I have decided to help you.
That's great, said Harry, relief surging through him. Griphook, thank you, really.
In return,
said the goblin.
For payment.
Slightly taken aback, Harry hesitated. How much do you want? I've got gold.
Not gold,
said Griphook.
I have gold.
His black eyes glittered. There were no whites to his eyes.
I want the sword. The sword of Godric Gryffindor.
You can't have that. Harry's spirits plummeted. You can't have that, he said. I'm sorry,
Then,
said the goblin softly.
we have a problem.
We can give you something else, said Ron eagerly. I bet the Lestranges have got loads of stuff. You can pick once we get into the vault. He had said the wrong thing, and Griphook flushed angrily.
I'm not a thief, boy. I'm not trying to procure treasures to which I have no right.
The sword is ours,
It is not.
said the goblin. We're Gryffindors, and it was Godric Gryffindors.
And before it was Gryffindor's, who was it?
Demanded the goblin, sitting up straight. No one's, said Ron. It was made for him, wasn't it?
No!
Cried the goblin, bristling with anger, as he pointed a long finger at Ron.
Wizarding arrogance again. The sword was Ragnarok the First, taken from him by Godric Gryffindor. It is a lost treasure, a masterpiece of goblin work. It belongs with goblins. The sword is the price for my hire. Take it or leave it.
Griphook glared at them. Harry glanced at the other two and then said, We need to discuss this, Griphook, if that's all right. Could you give us a few minutes? The goblin nodded, looking sour. Downstairs in the empty sitting room, Harry walked to the fireplace, brow furrowed, trying to think what to do. Behind him, Ron said, He's having a laugh. We can't let him have the sword. Is it true? Harry asked Hermione. Was the sword stolen by Gryffindor? I don't know, she said hopelessly. Wizarding history often skates over what the wizards have done to other magical races. But there's no account that I know of that says Gryffindor stole the sword. It'll be one of those goblin stories, said Ron, about how wizards are always trying to get one over on them. I suppose we should think ourselves lucky he hasn't asked for one. Goblins have got good reason to dislike wizards, Ron, said Hermione. They've been treated brutally in the past. Yeah, well, goblins aren't exactly fluffy bunnies, though, are they? Said Ron. They've killed plenty of us, and they fought dirty, too. But arguing with Griphook about whose race is most underhanded and violent isn't going to make him likely to help us, is it? There was a pause while they tried to think of a way around the problem. Harry looked out the window and saw Dobby's grave. Luna was arranging sea lavender in a jam jar beside the headstone. Okay, said Ron, and Harry turned back to face him. How's this? We tell Griphook we need the sword until we get inside the vault, and then he can have it. There's a fake in there, isn't he? We can switch him and give him the fake one. Ron, he'd know the difference better than we would, said Hermione. He's the only one who realised there'd been a swap. Yeah, but we could scarper before he realises. He quailed beneath the look Hermione was giving him. That, she said quietly, is despicable. Ask for his help, then double-cross him. And you wonder why goblins don't like wizards, Ron. Ron's ears turned red. All right. That's the only thing I could think of. What's your solution, then? We need to offer him something else. Something just as valuable. Brilliant. I'll go and get one of the other ancient goblin-made swords and gift wrap it for him. Silence fell between them. Harry was sure the goblin would accept nothing but the sword, even if they had something as valuable to offer him, yet the sword was their one indispensable weapon against Horcruxes. He closed his eyes for a moment or two and listened to the hush of the sea. The idea that Gryffindor might have stolen the sword was unpleasant to him. He had been proud to be a Gryffindor, and Gryffindor had been the champion of Muggle-borns, the wizard who had clashed with the pure-blood-loving Slytherin. Maybe he's lying, Harry said, opening his eyes again. Griphook, maybe Gryffindor didn't take the sword. How do we know the goblin version of history is right?
Does it make a difference?
Asked Hermione. Changes how I feel about it, said Harry. He took a deep breath.
We'll tell him he can have the sword after he's helped us into that vault, but we'll be careful to avoid telling him exactly when he can have it.
A grin spread across Ron's face. Hermione, however, looked alarmed.
Harry, we can't. He can have it, Harry went on. After we've used it on all the Horcruxes. I'll make sure he gets it then. I'll keep my word. But that could be years, said Hermione. I know that. But he needn't. I won't be lying, really.
Harry met her eyes with a mixture of defiance and shame. He remembered the words that had been engraved on the gateway to Nurmengard. For the greater good. He pushed the idea away. What choice did they have?
I don't like it,
said Hermione.
Nor do I, much,
Harry admitted. Well, I think it's genius, said Ron, standing up again.
Let's go back and tell him.
Back in the smallest bedroom, Harry made the offer, careful to phrase it so as not to give any definite time for the handover of the sword. Hermione frowned at the floor while he was speaking. He felt irritated at her, afraid she might give away the game. However, Griphook had eyes for nobody but Harry.
I have your word, Harry Potter, that you will give me the sword of Gryffindor if I help you.
Yes, said Harry.
Then shake,
said the goblin, holding out his hand. Harry took it and shook. He wondered whether those black eyes saw any misgivings in his own. Then Griphook relinquished him, clapped his hands together and said,
So, we begin.
It was like planning to break into the ministry all over again. They settled to work in the smallest bedroom, which was kept according to Griphook's preferences in semi-darkness.
I have visited the Lestranger's vault only once,
Griphook told them.
On the occasion, I was told to place inside it the false sword. It is one of the most ancient chambers. The oldest wizarding families store their treasures at the deepest level, where the vaults are largest and best protected.
They remained shut into the cupboard-like room for hours at a time. Slowly, the days stretched into weeks. There was problem after problem to overcome, not least of which was their store of Polyjuice potion was greatly depleted.
There's only enough left for one of us,
said Hermione, tilting the thick mud-like potion against the lamplight.
That'll be enough,
said Harry, who was examining Griphook's hand-drawn map of the deepest passageways. The other inhabitants of the shell cottage could hardly fail to notice that something was going on now that Harry, Ron, and Hermione only emerged from mealtimes. Nobody asked questions, although Harry often felt Bill's eyes on the three of them at the table, thoughtful and concerned. The longer they spent together, the more Harry realized that he did not much like the goblin. Griphook was unexpectedly bloodthirsty, laughed at the idea of pain in lesser creatures, and seemed to relish at the possibility that they might have to hurt other wizards to reach the Lestranger's vault. Harry could tell that his distaste was shared by the other two, but did not discuss it. They needed Griphook. The goblin ate only grudgingly with the rest of them, even after his legs had mended. He continued to request trays of food in his room, like the still frail Ollivander, but Bill, following an angry outburst from Fleur, went upstairs to tell him that the arrangement could not continue. Thereafter, Griphook joined them at the overcrowded table, although he refused to eat the same food, insisting instead on lumps of raw meat, roots, and various fungi. Harry felt responsible. It was, after all, he who had insisted that Goblin remain at Shell Cottage so that he could question him. His fault that the whole Weasley family had been driven into hiding, that Bill, Fred, George, and Mr. Weasley could no longer work.
I'm sorry,
said Fleur one blustery April evening as he helped her prepare dinner.
I never meant you to have to deal with all of this.
She had just set some knives to work, chopping up steaks for Griphook and Bill, who had preferred his meat bloody ever since he'd been attacked by Greyback. While the knives sliced away behind her, her somewhat irritable expression softened.
Harry, you have saved my sister's life. I do not forget.
This was not strictly speaking true, but Harry decided against reminding her that Gabriella had never been in real danger.
Anyway,
Fleur went on, pointing her wand at a pot of sauce on the stove, which began to bubble at once.
Mr. Ollivander lives for Muriel's this evening. Is that what makes things easier as a goblin?
She scowled a little at the mention of him.
Can move downstairs, and you and Ron and Dean can have that room.
We don't mind sleeping in the living room, said Harry, who knew that Griphook would think poorly of having to sleep on the sofa. Keeping Griphook happy was essential to their plans. Don't worry about us. And when she tried to protest, he went on. We'll be off your hands soon, too. Ron, Hermione, and I. We won't need to be here much longer.
But what do you mean?
She said, frowning at him, her wand pointing at the casserole dish now suspended in midair.
Of course, you must not leave. You are safe here.
She looked rather like Mrs. Weasley when she said it, and he was glad that the back door opened at that moment. Luna and Dean entered, their hair damp from the rain outside and their arms full of driftwood.
And tiny little ears,
Luna was saying.
A bit like a hippo's, Daddy says. Only purple and hairy. And if you want to call them, you have to hum. They prefer a waltz, nothing too fast.
Looking uncomfortable, Dean shrugged at Harry as he passed, following Luna into the combined dining and sitting room where Ron and Hermione were laying the dinner table. Seizing their chance to escape Fleur's questions, Harry grabbed 2 jugs of pumpkin juice and followed them.
And if you ever come to our house, I'm going to show you the horn Daddy wrote me about. But I haven't seen it yet because the Death Eaters took me from Hogwarts Express and I never got home for Christmas.
Luna was saying, as she and Dean relayed the fire.
Luna, we told you, Hermione called over to him. The horn exploded. It came from a Eurumpet, not a crumplehorn snorkack. No, it was definitely a snorkack horn, said Luna serenely. Daddy told me. It will probably have reformed by now. They mend themselves, you know.
Hermione shook her head and continued laying down forks as Bill appeared, leading Mr. Ollivander down the stairs. The wand maker still looked exceptionally frail as he clung to Bill's arm, as the latter supported him carrying a large suitcase. I'm going to miss you, Mr. Ollivander, said Luna, approaching the old man.
And I you, my dear,
said Ollivander, patting her on the shoulder.
You are an inexpressible comfort to me in that terrible place.
So, au revoir, Mr. Ollivander,
said Fleur, kissing him on both cheeks.
And I wonder whether you can oblige me by delivering a package to Bill's Auntie Muriel? I never returned a tiara.
It will be an honor,
said Ollivander with a little bow.
The very least I can do in return for your generous hospitality.
Flora drew out a worn velvet case, which she opened to show the wand maker. The tiara sat glistening and twinkling in the light of the low-hanging lamp.
Moonstones and diamonds,
Said Griphook, who had sidled into the room without Harry noticing.
made by goblins, I think.
And paid for by wizards, said Bill quietly, and the goblin shot him a look that was both furtive and challenging. A strong wind gusted against the cottage windows as Bill and Ollivander set off into the night. The rest of them squeezed in around the table, elbow to elbow, and with barely enough room to move, they started eating. The fire crackled and popped in the grate beside them. Flora, Harry noticed, was merely playing with her food. She glanced at the window every few minutes. However, Bill returned before they had finished their first course. Everything's fine, he told Flo. Ollivander settled in. Mom and Dad say hello. Jenny sends all her love. Fred and George are driving Muriel up the wall. They're still operating the owl order business out of her back room. It cheered her up to have her tiara back, though, and she said she thought we'd stolen it. She is a charmante, your aunt, said Flora crossly, waving her wand, causing all the dirty plates to rise and form a stack in midair. She caught them and marched out of the room. Daddy's made a tiara, piped up Luna. Well, more of a crown, really. Ron caught Harry's eye and grinned. Harry knew he was remembering the ludicrous headdress they had seen when they visited Xenophilius. Yes, he's trying to recreate the lost diadem of Ravenclaw. He thinks he's identified most of the main elements now. Addling the billywig wings really made a difference. There was a bang on the front door, and everyone's head turned toward it. Flora came running out of the kitchen looking frightened. Bill jumped to his feet, his wand pointing at the door. Harry, Ron, and Hermione did the same. Silently, Griphook slipped beneath the table and out of sight. Who is it?
It is I, Remus Lupin.
Called a voice over the howling wind. Harry experienced a thrill of fear. What had happened?
I am a werewolf, married to Nymphadora Tonks, and you, the secret keeper of Shell Cottage, told me to address the address and bade me come in an emergency.
Lupin, muttered Bill, and he ran to the door and wrenched it open. Lupin fell over on the threshold, and he was white-faced, wrapped in a travelling cloak with his greying hair windswept. He straightened up, looking around the room, making sure of who was there, and cried aloud.
It's a boy! We've named him Ted, after Dora's father.
Hermione shrieked.
What? Tonks? Tonks has had a baby.
Yes, she's had the baby.
Shouted Lupin. All around the table, cries of delight, sighs of relief, Hermione and Fleur both squealing. Congratulations, said Ron. Blimey, a baby. As if he had never heard of such a thing before.
Yes, it's a boy,
said Lupin again, who seemed dazed by his own happiness. He strode around the table, hugging Harry, and the scene in the basement of Grimmauld Place might have never happened. As if the scene in the basement of Grimmauld Place might have never happened.
You'll be the godfather,
he said as he released Harry. Me? Stammered Harry.
Yes, of course. Dora quite agrees. No one better.
Yeah, blimey. Harry felt overwhelmed, astonished, delighted. Now Bill was hurrying to fetch wine, and Fleur was persuading Lupin to join them for a drink.
I can't stay long. I must get back,
said Lupin, beaming around at them all. He looked years younger than Harry had ever seen him.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill had soon filled all of their goblets, and they stood and raised them high in a toast.
To Teddy, Remus Lupin,
said Lupin.
a great wizard in the making.
Who does he look like?
Fleur inquired.
I think he looks like Dora, but she thinks he looks like me. And not much hair. It looked black when he was born, but I swear it's turned ginger in an hour since. Probably be blonde by the time I get back. Andromeda says Tonks's hair started changing color the day she was born.
He drained his goblet.
Oh, go on then, just one more.
He added, beaming, as Bill made to fill it again. The wind buffeted the little cottage, and fire leapt and crackled. Bill was soon opening another bottle of wine, and Lupin's news seemed to have taken them out of themselves, removed them for a while from their state of siege. Tidings of new life was exhilarating. Only the goblin seemed untouched by the suddenly festive atmosphere, and after a while he slunk back to the bedroom that he now occupied alone. Harry thought he was the only one who had noticed this, until he saw Bill's eyes following the goblin up the stairs.
No, I must really get back,
said Lupin at last, declining yet another goblet of wine. He got to his feet and pulled his traveling cloak back around himself.
Goodbye. I'll bring some pictures in a few days' time.
Bless you, my darling.
They'll all be glad to know that I've seen you.
I need 5 more minutes to finish this, and I'll turn the internet back on. He fastened his cloak and made his farewells, hugging the women and grasping the hands of the men. Then, still beaming, returned into the wild night. Godfather Harry, said Bill, who walked into the kitchen together, helping clear the table. A real honor. Congratulations. As Harry set down the empty goblets he was carrying, Bill pulled the door closed behind him, shutting out the still voluble voices of the others who were continuing to celebrate, even in Lupin's absence. I wanted a private word, actually, Harry. It hasn't been easy to get an opportunity with a college full of people. Bill hesitated. Harry, you're planning something with Griphook. It was a statement, not a question. Harry did not bother to deny it. He merely looked at Bill, waiting. I know goblins, said Bill. I've worked for Gringotts since I left Hogwarts. As far as there can be friendship between wizards and goblins, I've goblin friends. Or at least know well and like. Again, Bill hesitated. Harry, what do you want from Griphook, and what have you promised him in return? I can't tell you that, said Harry. Sorry, Bill. The kitchen door opened behind him, and Fleur was trying to bring through more empty goblets. Wait, Bill told her. Just a moment. She backed out, and he closed the door again. Then I have to say this, Bill went on. If you struck any kind of bargain with Griphook, and most particularly if that bargain involves treasure, you must be exceptionally careful. Goblins' notion of ownership, payment, and repayment are not the same as human ones. Harry felt a slight squirm of discomfort, as though a small snake had stirred inside of him. What do you mean? He asked. We're talking about the different breed of being, he said. Dealings between wizards and goblins have been fraught for centuries, and you'll know all of that from a history of magic. But there's been fault on both sides. I would never claim that wizards have been innocent. However, there is a belief among some goblins, and those at Gringotts are perhaps most prone to it, that wizards cannot be trusted in matters of gold and treasure, that they have no respect for goblin ownership. I respect, Harry began, but Bill shook his head. You don't understand, Harry. Nobody could understand unless you've lived with goblins. To a goblin, the rightful and true master of any object is the maker, not the purchaser. All goblin-made objects are in goblin eyes, rightfully theirs. But if it was bought, then you would have considered it rented by the one who paid the money. They have, however, great difficulty with the idea of goblin-made objects passing from wizard to wizard. You saw Griphook's face when the tiara passed to his eyes. He disapproves. I believe he thinks, as do the fiercest of his kind, that it ought to have been returned to the goblins once the original purchaser died. They considered our habit of keeping goblin-made objects, passing them from wizard to wizard, without further payment, little more than theft. Harry had an ominous feeling now. He wondered whether Bill guessed more than he was letting on. All I'm saying, said Bill, setting his hand on the door back into the sitting room, is be very careful what you promise goblins, Harry. It would be less dangerous to break into Gringotts than to renege on a promise to a goblin. Right, said Harry as Bill opened the door. Yeah, thanks. I'll bear that in mind. And he followed Bill back to the others. A wry thought came to him, born, no doubt, of wine he had drunk. He seemed to be set on a course to become just as reckless a godfather to Teddy Lupin as Sirius Black had been to him. And so ends this is really cool. I am glad I found this place. What time does this usually start? So, Matthew, the story time is usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do the storytelling. And on Sundays, my lovely wife does the storytelling. Right now, on Tuesdays, we are in Raymond E. Fights Darkness at Sethinon. And then on Thursdays, we're currently in Harry Potter. We go back and forth. We do a family-friendly book, and we do a more adult book. We're getting ready. These are almost done. As you can see here, we are almost completely through this book. We are maybe 2 or 3 chapters from the end. And same thing with Harry Potter. We're about 70% of the way through this book at the moment. Yeah, 69%. Nice. And we try. I'm terrible with starting on time with these because we have a lot of other work that we're doing. But generally, we're supposed to start sometime between 4:30 and 6:30. We usually start closer to like 6 or 7 o'clock. But it can start anywhere between 4:30 and 7 o'clock is generally when these story times start. Jason, hello. I'm well. I hope that you're well also. I'm glad you could drop in to say hello. That Nicholson is brilliant, is never in question, and in my opinion, the best Joker, along with Cesar Romero. About Harry's wand, remember that the cord of his wand was from Fox the Phoenix. I can easily see the unmasked for Magicus Fox giving Voldemort a raspberry through the wand. It would very easily match Fox's character to do so. That is true. That is true. Yes? See. Splendid, you're so great, I see them in my head. Well, I'm glad. Bliss, that's a fine compliment. Try to stop by more often then. Very good, thank you, Matthew. We also put out daily story times on all platforms. We do short story times 7 times a week. And they are on myth and lore and storytelling and books and so on. And history, on the traditional aspect of storytelling. So if you're interested in those sorts of things, you get something new every day, being a patron of the tavern. So I'm glad that you could be in. Yes, me too, even though it's been forever since I've seen the movies or read the books. You all flatter me. I'm hovering, just eating, that's quite alright. Bear says blessings to Una. There are times that I want about a pound of whatever Luna is on. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. She's all caught up in the whimsy of life, isn't she? She's quite literally high on her own supply 100% of the time. Tim, hello, hello! There's this YouTuber called Just For Fun 2090 and he does toy videos. He's over 3 million subs. How did he do it? There's no secret sauce to it, Tim. You make good things and you continue to improve it. You are never as good as you can be is the mindset that the lady and I have kept all these years. And we can always do more and be more consistent for the patrons of the tavern who so kindly pay us with their attention and their time. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you for that. Tips to the tavern keeper are always appreciated. I don't. What did you get? I don't remember what all of the. Enjoy your snowfall nog, brother. Luna is my spirit animal. So is Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters. Appropriate. All right, Matthew. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Then I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. All right, friends. Let's do one song. I'll give you guys one song, and then I will send you off. If you're over on the Twitch portal, we'll raid out to share the love with some of our friends. And if you're anywhere else, we'll do one song, and then I'll send you all off to bed. If you're over anywhere and it's your bedtime already and you have to run off, I bid you good night, my friends. It's wonderful to have you. I appreciate you for spending your time here with us in the tavern. We appreciate you, and we hope that you rest well and you rise again tomorrow, ready to face the day. I love all castles. Yeah, well, you are who you are, Matty. Red is the rose, please, for my sick kitty. Sure, let's do red is the rose. I can do red is the rose. And that one should be relatively gentle on my gullet. So let's get them done, my friends. We're going to sing Red is the Rose. Now, if you've never been here for the end of a story time, at the end we sing shanties and ballads and so on. We don't sing because we sing well. We sing to have a good time. So, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do Red is the Rose. Tim, thank you kindly, my friends. I just need to do something. I think I would like to monetize my videos because I don't want to do retail anymore. Which is fair enough, Tim. It's fair enough. And brother, I do appreciate you the tips. I'll read your comment. You don't have to super chat. I do appreciate the support though. But you're welcome to just comment if you want to. I appreciate you though. Thank you kindly. It's very generous, brother. If you want to message me, Tim, I can give you some tips on how to get rolling and get things started. The big thing is and this is the thing that because the lady and I advise creators and writers all the time. You can never have the mindset that what you are making is perfect. You can never have the mindset that what you are making is perfect or as good as it can be. You have to constantly think to yourself, how are other people experiencing what I am putting out? How are other people going to enjoy or experience the thing that I have made? And then you move forward with that understanding of, it's not about me. I'm making things that I love, sure, but the way that I am presenting them is to give other people enjoyment. So if you move forward with the mindset of, this is to give other people enjoyment. It's not to show people how good I am at what I do. It's not to show everybody like how incredible I am or all of the things that I know. It's to entertain and to bring joy or solace or peace to other people. That is the most important thing when you're making things. It is to make the best possible thing you can with the person who is consuming it in mind. Think of it like a meal. If you're going to make a meal for somebody, you want to use the best ingredients you can. You want to prepare it with care, and you want to present it beautifully so that when they get it, they enjoy it, and it's full of joy for them. And they'll enjoy the flavor. They'll enjoy the experience of eating it. There are so many layers to making things for other people, and you have to keep that constantly in the front of your mind when you are going out and doing these things. Bliss says, yes, thank you again, and good night, friends. Bliss, it was wonderful to see you again. I hope we'll see you more often for story time. But until then, rest well, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Rain, good night, and Rain says good night to the rest of the tavern as well. It was wonderful to see you. We'll see you on Sunday for the ladies' story time, and I should be available for waffles on Sunday, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Castle. We appreciate you. Kitty does too. Excellent, excellent. Nitso, it's good to see you, brother. Have a good night. Alright, we're gonna do Red is the Rose as sung by the High Kings. Come over the hills, my bonny Irish lass. Come over the hills to your darling. You choose the road, love, and I'll make the vow. And I'll be your true love forever. I try my best to stop by when I can and when I'm not busy being a mod. I appreciate you, mate. It's always good to see you. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. But my love is fairer than any. 'Twas down by Killarney's green woods that we strayed, when the moon and the stars, they were shining. The moon, it shone its rays on her locks of golden hair, and she swore she'd be my love forever. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. But my love is fairer than any. It's not for the parting that my sister pains. It's not for the grief of my mother. It's all for the loss of my bonny Irish lass, that my heart is breaking forever. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. But my love is fairer than any. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. But my love is fairer than any. Oh, my love is fairer than any. Thank you for the song, my friends. Absolutely lovely to sing with you on these fine evenings in the tavern. Thank you kindly for the song. Kitty says thank you. Rob Shepherd, thank you kindly for the heart. Me and the roses. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated, my friend. Thank you kindly for your generosity. Just a thought, as much as we love waffles, maybe we try to sneak in a wee bit of Harry Potter and try and get us closer to the reason. Yeah, I'm fine with that, Bear. I'm fine. I think we're on pretty good track for Harry Potter, and I just might be off my rocker. We've got 150 pages left of this, and we usually do about 30 pages, 20, 30 pages a night. So at 150, there'd be 5 more nights, which is a lot. So yeah, maybe we should do a chapter of Harry Potter on Sunday because we have what? I think we have 60. We have 66. We have roughly 70 pages left in here, so about half as much as we do in Harry Potter. So we'll also have a Tuesday between now and then that we'll be able to read Harry Potter on a Tuesday and a Thursday when we're finishing up too. So we'll actually have, so if we do one Sunday where we do some Harry Potter, and then we keep these on their days, but then when this is done, we do Harry Potter. That'll put us almost exactly at 3 weeks, I think. Almost exactly at 3 weeks, I think, for everything. So if we do one Sunday with Harry Potter, and then we do the rest as normal, I think that puts us right in there. So I think that's a good idea. No, you're not being pushy, brother. Don't worry about it. Thank you kindly for the song. Kitty says meow. I say meow back, but in the most respectful way possible. Whatever the most respectful meow a man can make is. But I refuse to meow out loud because I am a grown man. All right, my friends. Well, I think that this is an excellent place. Well, there's never a good place for us to part, but I think that this is a good place for us to end. At least for now. So, my friends, I think that we will part ways for the moment. Let us thank all of our barkeeps for keeping us safe and everything in order during these wonderful long story times. And to everyone who came in to visit, thank you all kindly for being here. You are loved and appreciated. And for everyone who liked on whatever platform you're on, that is deeply appreciated. It lets the platforms know that you enjoy what we do, and when you share and like the things that we do, 4'2", precisely. 4'3", 4'3". Have a blessed night, Castle. Take care. You as well, Esther. Have a wonderful night. If you're over on the Twitch portal, we're going to raid out to share the love with some of our friends. But more than anything, I just appreciate you all for spending your time with us here in the tavern. We know you have plenty of options for where you can spend your time, and it really is the most valuable resource that you have. So for everyone who spends their time here in the tavern with us, and for everyone who contributes, tips the tavern keeper, we appreciate you all. And for everyone who contributes to the conversation, it's absolutely lovely to have you. To all the new folks who come in, we quickly look forward to you becoming regulars here in the tavern. So, while it is such sorrow that we are parting, we will again gather when the doors open and you all once again seek a story. But until then, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty, my friends, and we will see you next time. Have a good night.
wreck a vessel when our lords the gods are unpropitious. Now, therefore, let us obey the behests of night and prepare our supper here, hard by the ship. Tomorrow morning we will go on board again and put out to sea. Hi, Black Dragon. Hi, Raiders. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, welcome. You guys, make sure you're following Black Dragon Tavern Gaming over on Twitch. Hello. Hello. How was your stream? Black Dragon, over in the Black Dragon Tavern, you will find Castle and Una, who do wonderful reading and storytelling streams. It is such an awesome vibe over there. I hope you had a good stream. Welcome in. We are continuing our read of the Odyssey. They have left Circe's Island. They have gotten past the monster Scylla and Charybdis, and now they're being faced with the temptation of the Sun God's Island. Hi, Maddie. Storytime was grand. Quickly approaching our annual readathon. Ooh, what is that? Like an event? Charybdis? Wait, no, because I listened to a pronunciation thing. Are you sure? Did I mishear it? I literally looked it up. Oh no. Let me listen to it louder. Might be right. You're right. Okay, Charybdis. Welp. Thank you for letting me know. I will change it moving forward. Hi, Old King Bear. Hello, and Waxtooth. Hello. Oh my god, no, Maddie, I am always telling people, like, if you know how to pronounce something and I'm mispronouncing it, please let me know. I am not overly proud about that. I am happy to learn. Right, Kaiser, right? Yeah. No, I did double check, but I think I had the volume down and I had plugs in, but the volume was coming out of my speaker and I think I just misheard the beginning. So, yeah, thank you for letting me know. It's not gremlins, it's dremlins. Well, welcome in, you guys. Is this Castle raiding in tonight?